Hello and welcome to the final playtest of All Systems Nominal in the Inner Sphere 3054 series. We're playing with the Gauntlet, and we've got actually the same crew as last session. So we'll see how it turns out for Omega Lance in this session, how everything goes down. Will their efforts at piracy be successful? So why don't we just recap our characters, what's going on with them. Start with Brian, maybe.
I'm playing Frank Roy, who kind of conned his way into being a pilot and is learning on the job and is trying to get what would be not just pilot, but ownership to be distributed between all the members of the mercenaries, as opposed to being just owned at the top.
Right, so you've got an actual agenda outside of conflict right now, or a combat right now. That's cool. Fraser, what's going up with, or what's going down, I should say, with Cold Ruin?
Cold Ruin is a outcast pirate who is sort of devolving into his old ways now that, in his mind, the structures of the mercenary company are gone if they're not willing to give him the his CP and EI, basically.
Yeah, so definitely gonna see a session about pirate union organizing here.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, kind of. I think he relied on the structures of this sort of whatchamacallit, this company to kind of keep him in check. And now that they're gone, he's kind of like, I'm just going to shoot people where I want, and I don't care about the rules of engagement or any of that crap. They don't pay me enough to deal with that anymore, basically. So,
all right. Well,
yeah.
We'll see where that goes. And Lauren.
This is so embarrassing. I'm playing, oh shit, I forgot my character's name. Dasha. I'm playing Dasha, who is 100% a punk, anti power structures, anti corporations and stuff like that, and is totally an individual and not at all tied to her family, who owns a corporation, who made her mech, and does not rely upon them at all for any privilege or anything like that. Anyone who says otherwise is a big liar, and just jealous of me. So that's Dasha. She's massively privileged and very lucky, and she is a lot more like Zeb Brannigan than I'm proud to admit.
Yes, she's also the lieutenant, the commanding officer of the Lance.
Yes.
All right, advantageous. Who are you playing?
Farlow is from a religious commune on the fringes that eschewed technology, and he kind of sort of went against that in vague teenage rebellion, but not really until his community was stomped and he had to get some good old-fashioned non-religious revenge with his mechs and mechanic skills. So he's out for righting the wrongs, at least the ones that were done to him and his.
Yeah, so first survival, then revenge. All right. Cool. Well, so last time we ended off with a little bit of downtime, and I figured, hey, maybe in this game we need a couple downtime activities, so you can do something practical and do something roleplay, just like in normal Blades. So I'm going to give everybody an extra downtime action you can take. if you look at the revised rules, for some reason, all of this text is in bold. I don't know. Or no, it's not. That's just a different font. Anyway, something's weird. Something weird is going on with my browser. But yes, if you look over at the rules, you can see that there is a list of things you might want to do in downtime, such as acquire material, work on your mecha, consort with or make a new contact, work to plan for the next mission, get even with an enemy or rival, seek comfort to deal with your scars, or launch a plan or scheme to further your goals. So, yeah, why don't, since Farlow, you didn't get a chance to take a downtime action last session, why don't we start with you? What do you think you'd be getting up to now that you're done doing your repairs on the mecha?
I think that he has been hearing some rumors. Maybe there was a commander whose name was infamously linked with the the slaughter on his homeworld, and he has heard that somehow that person is here somewhere on this world. Doesn't have any idea if that is related to the mission we're on or not, but he would like to enter into some sort of scheme that could see him zoning in on this guy, possibly isolating him for a kill.
Sure. Yeah, so in the sort of Battletech lore of what actually happened in the timeline, after this point in time, the world of Coventry 3 was invaded by, I think it was Clan Jade Falcon. So maybe we could make that a thing,
Sure.
like somebody from that clan, because it was like, yeah, it was Clan Jade Falcon. So it was like, your world was assaulted and conquered by the clans. So maybe the clan that specifically conquered your world was Clan Jade Falcon, and they have some advanced agents on this planet who are snooping around and getting ready for an invasion.
Okay. Or if we wanted to, maximize the potential for me to be an idiot, we could do something like everybody was encouraged to evacuate. They were pushing us to evacuate, and and people did. Some people didn't. Some people wanted to defend their enclaves, and it turns out that the planetary governor kind of sold us out to Clan Jade Falcon, and it would be interesting if the governor is now here. We know that his pockets are richer because of them, but he is still within our infrastructure. And
Gotcha.
I'm trying to hunt him in.
Okay, so you're trying to hunt the planetary governor. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's an interesting thing to be doing. Let's see.
Because, your enemies are your enemies. Of course you're going to fight them. But the guy who you thought was your friend, that guy needs to get taken down a peg if he's selling you out.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if this would be a make a new contact just to start finding to try information, or if that would be the launch a plan. Or get even.
I think this might be gathering information.
Okay.
Like planning for the next mission, basically.
Okay.
I'll just add that to the list. But well, I have the enemy commander. It's Colonel William Steger. So maybe that was the guy.
Okay.
And I'll just add that. Higher information. So I want to add like a circles mechanic to the game, but I haven't had time to write it yet.
Okay.
So, and I don't think it's necessarily the best way for you to do this right now, anyway. So, I think you're maybe going to be doing a resource roll to get information, or you could do a fortune roll to. Yeah, I think a resource roll makes. Yeah, I mean, how so? Do you know who this guy is already?
I'm thinking that Farlow probably didn't know who exactly it was. He just knew a title, and then when the thing got wiped out, he had to like go through trying to track down the guy's name. And so he's basically looking for the guy who used to be the planetary governor of, Coventry. Is that what you said the planet was?
Yeah, this is Coventry, yeah.
Okay.
So, okay.
Would that be easier for it to be just acquire information or plan a scheme or something like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if you do a long-term project, you won't be able to.
We're not going to get through
it by the end of the session. So, I think you're probably going to be doing a resource roll here.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry, I was not paying the best of attention. If we're doing a roll, we now draw cards, or
no. That's for combat.
Okay.
Right now, you're just going to be rolling dice.
Okay.
So pilots use their rank. So I think your rank is now 2. You leveled up, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So to acquire the assets they need, along with other advantages they can scrounge together. This represents the authority, reputation, and connections they can rely on to requisition material, as well as the skills they have in scrounging found equipment. So I think that this can be used also for information. So you want information on who the governor was of the planet you were on, the colony you were on. Okay.
Right.
And I was supposed to set a rarity level. So I mean, I'll say I think it's probably only like 2, like it's not super rare. And you are going to make a fortune roll. So you're starting with 2 dice. Do you think you have any other advantages that you think could help you find this information?
With my specializations, I don't know, unless I can barter a service for a future service. Like, hey, I will provide you, mechanic favor if you can, get me this information. So maybe I can kind of bargain my skill. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I could find somebody who would be particularly moved by my fervor, like sit down, have a drink, kind of tell them my sob story of my background, so that the.
All right. Well, sure. This is why we need a circles mechanic. So
I think no matter who it is, it should end up being a family friend of Dasha's.
Right. That sounds pretty good. So, okay, well, I think we'll just get you to do a fortune roll to find this person.
Okay.
I'll say, so this, if it's a family friend of Dasha's, it means they're probably not from your background.
Okay.
Because, they would be coming from a privileged background as well.
Okay.
And I think, you probably start out with the advantage of your ranks. You have 2 dice. And anything else you think could work to find this person? Or that would make them well disposed to you?
Yeah, other than bartering my skills, I think maybe I don't know that Dasha would be super pleased about this, but if I like bargain away like either heat sinks or ammo that she just got for me.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna try to bribe somebody to get access? Okay. So you just got some ammo, so you're gonna spend that ammo to get an extra die?
Right, basically, like, I know that you've been needing this autocannon ammo. If you can, you know, if it happens to find its way into the right position, you know.
Okay, that sounds good to me. So that's going to put you at 3 dice, 3d6. You're going to roll that, and we'll see how the result works out.
Alrighty. I got a 6.
Okay, great. That's a success. So yeah, so you meet this person. It is. So I think this is. If they're a family friend of Dasha's and they're in the company, because we're not in town or anything right now.
What if it was somebody who was put there to try out tech, like stuff that was... They're basically there to supervise trials, and they weren't really concerned about actually supervising the planet, and that's why they were totally willing to sell the planet out. They're like, oh, you know what? My clinical trials are basically finished up here, so... Yeah,
well, it's a money on the side. Opportunity to test out some of the technology too, right? Get that battle data, as any anime protagonist or antagonist must do. Get all the battle data. So yeah, so they're probably like, you know, dressed in some fancy clothes in the I guess it would be like. Maybe they'd be in like the rec room of the dropship, just kind of chilling.
The person I'm talking to, or
yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Probably having a drink, and you've got a lead that they can maybe help you out, and they're on board this dropship right now. Yeah, I think they're sitting down, they're having a drink. There's some music playing in the background. It's probably like some sort of light classical music, and as you hear like the artillery raining down in the distance. So what do you do?
I'll probably just sort of sidle up to the table, and I'd probably have a drink in my hand, sort of set it down, you know, at the edge, just to make him look up and kind of nod my head toward the seat, like, you know, mind if I join you? And then, regardless of what they say, I'll slide into the seat and say, hey, somebody told me that you needed some autocannon ammunition.
And I guess this guy is like probably in his like 40s. He's better dressed than you for sure. He says, "Oh, you're not going to be needing that?"
Well, I'm sure my commander would prefer that we were full to bear, but you know, I think we can handle whatever's coming our way. But it's not really a issue of that. It's still being requisitioned, and I think that you might know something that might help me out, and if you can, maybe I can make sure that requisition ends up going to your bins instead of ours.
Sure. I mean, there's a... Well, I'm sorry, I didn't give you my name. My name is... let's go with the first Russian name that comes to my head. He says, yeah, my name is Sergei Stukov. Gives you a card, and it says Earthworks Incorporated on it.
Okay.
And he says, I'm conducting some combat trials. I've been attached to the unit to try out some of our new autocannons as it happens, and I'd be perfectly happy to take some of your ammo and use it for my tests.
Well, really the only thing I was trying to find out was there was a guy in charge of some weapons testing. Ended up finding himself out on. You said the planet was Coventry.
No, you're on Coventry.
We're on Coventry, so I say the name of my home planet. You know, did trials there, wrap things up. I'm just trying to find the guy. You know, take care of some business we need to finalize.
Oh,
but
well, maybe I could. Yeah. Do you have a name? No, you don't, right? You don't have a name. I
just know that it was the guy who was the.
That's a posting. I see. Okay. Well, it wasn't very long ago, so I should be able to track something down. And like
honestly, and it should be the end of the dated points because, I mean, shortly after Jade Falcon moved in on the planet, so it's not like there's going to be, you know, more after him. It's just going to be whoever's at the bottom of the list.
Right. Okay. And like pulls out like this big, like bulky, basically like laptop. It's like an like 80s or like late 80s, early 90s style laptop.
Super high tech.
Yeah, like puts it on the desk and pulls it up.
It's like the size of the table. The screen's only this big.
Yeah. Yeah. Starts looking through some files and says, "Oh yeah, okay. Well, thankfully, this guy doesn't work for my company, so I'll be happy to give you that information." And says, "Looks like the commander was named William Steger, and you're in luck. He's apparently stationed on the planet as commanding officer."
Well, a commanding officer.
Yes. Yeah, I think he went from this business appointment to being part of the Lyran military. So, yeah, you may be able to track him down.
Okay, William Steiger?
Yes.
Well, thanks. I'll see if I can figure out where he's located and pass on the messages I have. Wrap up our business. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. I'll, if you give me over the codes, I'll make sure that, you know, things find their way to the right spots.
Of course. And writes something on a piece of paper, hands it over to you. And says
it's a printout that has the corners clipped like in BSG.
Yes,
because everything comes that way.
Yeah. And he says, well, good luck out there.
Thanks, and hope your tests go well for you. And I will clutch that little piece of paper maybe a little tighter than he would expect me to, and walk out of the mess.
Sure.
Rec hall.
Okay, well, yeah, we don't need to do a resource roll, I guess. So you can just mark off your ammo, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right. Well, let's see. Maybe next, Cold Ruin, something you want to get up to? Second downtime activity.
Can I somehow make my mech more ruthless?
Make it more ruthless.
Yes, like the laser fires at a much hotter temperature or something. I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's see. You're kind of maxed out on systems, but
or maybe
could.
What about like
you could take
I could, or even researching the units that we go up against so I know where to hit them.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, you could try to spend some time like reading through the recon data that's been taken since the mission started to try to get some extra information about how to take out the enemies. Sure. So, okay, that does sound like you'd be doing another resource roll. So you'd be rolling with your rank. I think the rarity level here is going to be just a 1. And do you have anything you think could help you with that? Any situational bonuses, penalties, or stuff from your character?
I don't know, maybe outcast or piracy. I think
yeah, I think so. Was this something you did as a pirate a lot? Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like I think we were outmatched most of the time, and the only way that we could effectively take on these people and get their stuff is by doing this kind of research and by striking when it was like opportune moments and stuff like that, and it's not like engaging people in the field of battle like normal.
Sure. Okay. So that makes sense to me. You can take an extra 1d, so roll 3d6, and we'll see if you get a success.
3d6. 6. All right. And once again, it's a 6 and a 1, so it's always like all or nothing for me. It's always like let me just show you what could have happened, Fraser.
All right. Yeah, so you got a full success. So it means you exceeded the required quality. If you exceed it, you can say it's fine quality. So you can take plus 2 dice going into the next engagement that you could spend, kind of just like plus 2 forward, sort of.
Sure. Does that translate to a better tactic?
Yeah, I think you could spend it on the engagement roll. You could spend one of those dice on the engagement roll to try to improve your position, and then that could lead to getting a better maneuver.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because then, that would be neat. Because then I can translate that directly into like the space pirate ambush thing if we do well enough.
Yeah,
like
for
that,
sure.
I'm all about that ambushing.
Good, awesome. So you, so I think so what it really looks like is, I think, like the aerospace fighters in your unit flew over. They've been flying sorties like over the area near the Coventry Metal Works, and they've been taking like aerial photos, and you get to see a number of tanks, types you hadn't seen before. And you're able to spend the time looking up the models and like seeing what the strong points and weak points of these tanks are. So you see like they have there's probably a couple you notice. There are some Drillson hover tanks and some Bulldog medium tanks. So this is something you learn, and both of those units are equipped with large lasers. So something to note.
Cool. Do I have a large laser? I have a laser.
Your mech is really not heavy enough to have one. So
laser. What is the like mechanically? What does that do? Like medium laser is far, heavy, hot. What is?
Yeah, so the large laser would count as a heavy weapon, which would give them a die bonus.
Okay. So the plan is to halo jump to land directly on the tanks, squish them.
Death from so far above.
Yeah.
You're like writing in your notebook, plan, Halo jump on tanks. Step 1, Halo jump on tanks. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, I win. All right, nice. Okay, so yeah, maybe we'll next go with Dasha. What are you going to do with your next activity? You talk to the commander, to the major, and she wasn't really giving you the time of day about training you. Anything else you'd want to do?
I was going to be responsible and plan ahead, but my colleague has already done that. So I guess I'll do the next thing that comes to mind, which is, I think Dasha is going to buy. I want to. I'll state what plan I'm doing. I want to consult with her, make a new contact.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I ain't got the time of day for what's his face who came up to us after our mission, squeezing us for like our ammo. You know, like he was kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to find someone else who's cooler, amongst the support crew who can hook us up with some ammo without needing to go through that palaver the whole time.
Gotcha.
And I will do that by doing the rich person thing, which is buying my friends, by treating them to some rounds of drinks or something like that, or taking them a nice bottle of something into the hangar bay to have a few sneaky sips of whiskey or something.
Okay.
Whenever it's appropriate.
Sure. So I think you're going to make a resource roll to get the bribes that you need, right?
Nice.
So you're trying to bribe them with whiskey, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And
follow.
I think that so do you think you usually bunk on this drop ship, or is it on a different ship?
I probably bunk here. Probably makes me feel more punk than I actually am, because I'm here with like the
Okay.
I always say normal folks, but I will not say that.
So
yeah. The support stuff.
I think then that it shouldn't be extremely hard to get, because you could go to your quarters and grab the whiskey. So I'll say the acquisition value here is 2. You're going to get, so you should still, you still be second rank. So you'd have 2 dice to start with. I think you can get an extra die for being privileged. Anything else you think could figure into it?
How much of an asshole do I want to be? I think it's just privilege. I don't think I'm commanding these people to be my friends or relying upon like.
Oh, this is just to get the whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah. No, just yeah. I'm not. Yeah. I cannot think about a factor in piloting unless.
No, I don't think so. Okay, so roll 3d6 and we'll see how it goes. You can also spend edge if you want to. I think you're down to 1 edge though now.
I got a 6.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you exceeded, or no, you met your necessary value. So it means it's not fine. It's not extra fine whiskey, but it is already fine enough. So now you are going to try to bribe some of the ground crew to get them to give you what you need.
Yeah, which is friendship.
Okay, so this is not about getting like ammo immediately. This is about getting a contact so you can get ammo in the future.
Yeah, because like I don't know that follows like gone and traded off like the ammo that I got. So I'm just back with the knowledge that I got, which is like we're mostly fine for ammo. So I really should be planning for the future and securing a contact who I'm tight with who can get us ammo more easily.
Okay. So I think if you go like down to the mech bay, there's probably like a little rest area in the corner where some of the mechs are taking a break. They're probably drinking some kind of science fiction coffee equivalent. And you can go talk to them. You notice that the so the like the mech head that you saw earlier is not around. He's probably working, so that's an opportunity for you. Yeah, what do you do? What's your approach?
Yeah, well, she looks around for the mech head, can't see them, so like, phew. And then I think she's I think she just sort of like tries to saunter up quite casually and procures like the bottle of whiskey before anyone can tell her to go like F off.
Mm-hmm.
And will help herself to a seat near them.
Uh-huh.
Like,
And they're like, Lieutenant?
yeah, hey, I don't know about you guys, but I could really blow off a bit of steam all this running around hard work and that we've been doing. And then she like gestures to the bottle of whiskey that she's got. It's like, how about you guys? Do you enjoy me in a drink?
And they're like, and they like look at each other. So I'm gonna get you to make an action roll here to convince them. So
Jesus,
what do you think's working in your favor? You're gonna start a plus one die. I think you get a +1 for having the whiskey. Anything else?
I really don't think so.
I think you outrank them. That's an advantage.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's probably what, 3 dice? Yeah, 3d6. I think the only disadvantages I can think about in this situation are like they're probably it's a really sort of like tense situation you're in. So they're probably like having second thoughts about getting drunk on the job. So yeah, so I think it's -1. So you can roll a 2d6 and we'll see how this turns out.
Yeah, I'll take it. This 20. I got a 4 and a 3.
Okay, so that's a mixed success. Yeah, so they say, sure, yeah, let's. I mean, who knows if we'll even survive this mission?
Yeah, that's the spirit.
And they just like take their like coffee mugs and like pour some whiskey in, and it's like a total waste because why are you wasting good whiskey by pouring it in your coffee? But they can't tell. They probably haven't had good whiskey at any point in their lives, or maybe just once or twice. Yeah, so pour it in and like pull out like a like a styrofoam coffee cup and like pour some whiskey in there for you, and then they say to the Vigilantes.
To the Vigilantes.
Yeah, and they all take a big drink. So Dasha, do you think you're a heavy drinker? Or?
Why do you ask me this question? She's I probably every now and then, but she's probably not a massive drinker.
Okay.
So if you're asking if I'll need to do some sort of test to see if I'm not super smashed before we go on the mission? The answer is yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. Why don't we do a fortune roll here?
Okay.
And I think you're just probably rolling 1d6. Do you have anything you think would help you sober up?
Good question. Oh. Nothing's resonating with me.
Okay, so all right, so make that roll 1d6.
We're so fucked. Got a 3.
Okay, you miss. So yeah, so it goes to your head. Definitely. You feel it. I mean, you're just drinking your whiskey neat, so it's definitely it's good stuff. So it's easy to drink, but it also definitely hits you. So I think you're going to be going into this mission drunk. On the plus side, you can mark down that you have a reputation with the ground crew of being generous.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm so generous that I'll even leave this bottle of whiskey with them so they can enjoy it when they're not on the job.
Yeah. Great. Cool. Okay, so finally, Frank, you've been talking to the mech warriors about your plans. What do you think you're going to do next?
I mean, I could continue the recruitment, or I could do something different. If we consider that.
Yeah. What do you think?
Done for now.
What do you think you'd like to? Because you could continue to work on your long-term project. That's completely a possibility. If you wanted to go talk to somebody else, or you could do something different if that's what you're feeling right now.
Oh, yeah, I have other ideas, but let's just continue that project. That's
okay. So, who do you think the next group of people you go talk to is?
Who's gonna have who's like the most numerous group, not necessarily the most influential, but just
so on, like, in this situation in particular, because you're like actually on the front and not like back on the ship, the jump ship. I think it's probably going to be the like mechanics and like logistics people. Yeah,
I think he wants just numbers, whoever.
Okay. So it's probably like we see Dasha drinking with the mechanics, and then it's like the camera pans over, and we see Frank on a different part of the mech bay walk in and start talking to people. So I think we're just going to probably get like an action roll here to see how effective you are at continuing to sort of spread your agitation. What do you think is working to your advantage?
What is working to my advantage? Well, I mean, definitely, I'm using my charlatan skills still to read people and tell them what they want to hear, and
yeah, so you can like pass yourself off as having been a mechanic in the past.
Sure. If that's if that's what he gets the sense of, we'll get them to listen to him. Yeah, you would take that.
Sure.
Yep.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, and so I think you're probably like at a -1 because people are just real busy down here. So then your dice total will be 1d6. So let's see how that goes.
Oh well, a 2.
Okay, that's a miss. So unfortunately, your clock doesn't advance. I think it's like we see you're walking around the floor trying to get a word in with people, and they're just like no, I'm too busy, like running around getting tools, like talk to me later kind of thing. And yeah, and it's just like you spend some time on it, but eventually you just figure you gotta give it up, and
the wrong time.
Yeah, it's the wrong time, and I think we see like in the corner, Dasha's like stumbling off to go get ready for the mission. Cool. All right. So
it's also me just like failing to pull off the ex-mechanic thing.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're like, hand me this, and I grab the wrong thing. And
yeah. They're like, where did you work then?
If you can't help, just get out of the way.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so that's going to be the downtime actions. Cool. So I think then we're gonna go to the briefing. Everybody gets called into a briefing room, and Major Madrova is gonna give everybody the rundown on what the mission is here. So where are you sitting, Dasha? Are you sitting at the back? Where you sit in the room? Is it the front?
The real question is, do I care? Given my current state, I don't know. Probably the. I don't know. If she's feeling a bit buzzed, she'll probably try and slip into the back.
Okay.
Try like keep her head down. Yeah, right. I totally have aviators on.
Okay, great. So everybody files in, and the major says, nice sunglasses there, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
You expecting the rain's gonna let up?
You know what? I've got a feeling that luck's going to be on our side today.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what we're doing here. We are going to join up with Alpha Lance in attacking the Coventry Metal Works. They're currently engaged near the factory site itself, and we're going to move up and provide additional reinforcements to them. The fastest way for us to get there is to travel along the Port St. William Expressway. This is a large 14-lane expressway that travels from the industrial district to the capital itself. Normally, it's completely busy, but we're kind of in luck because on the one hand, this huge storm's kicked up, and on the other hand, because of the battle, most people have gotten the fuck out of there. So we're going to be just booking it down the expressway. And when we hit the metal works, we're going to try to relieve Alpha Lance. So as far as resistance, we expect to see some enemy tanks deployed along the expressway to try to slow us down. And once we get to the metal works itself, we have reports that there is at least one enemy lance that is supported by additional defense forces. The lucky thing for us is once we do get there, we'll be fighting in force with all three lances in our company. So any questions? All right. Well, get everything warmed up and ready. And remember, we're going to be fighting at limited effectiveness in this storm. Watch out for all the interference. Okay. So that is the briefing. I think we can go to the engagement roll. So let's. Right? What's that?
Were we supposed to ask stuff? Probably.
Were you supposed to ask some questions? Well, it could have helped you out, but
yeah,
you know, she briefed you. You were briefed. You also spent some time preparing for the mission, so you know what's up. So let's look at the engagement roll. So when the unit is about to start a mission or enter into combat, we use the engagement roll to determine their starting position. We make a dice pool according to the following questions. Then the fiction follows from the result. So is the team well supplied? No. Does the team have reliable and relevant intelligence? Yes. Is the team especially vulnerable to the enemy? Is the enemy especially vulnerable to the team's approach? No. Is the team engaging a strongly held enemy position? Yes. So it's no. Yes, so that put you up to 2 dice, and then 1 die, and then do the team's mecha have a significant speed advantage over the enemy? No. Does the approach involve an exceedingly complex battle plan? No. And is the broader operational situation in the team's favor? Let's find out. Let's see how it's going for the Colonel. Oh, yeah, it is. So you get an extra die. So you're rolling 2d6. And Fraser, you can mark off one of those bonus dice because you spend that on your intelligence. So
where should I keep track of that?
Just in your notes, I guess.
Notes. Oh yeah.
So Lieutenant, you want to roll those 2d6 to see how it goes?
Fuck yes.
All right.
Got 2 3s.
2 3s. Great. Oh, the best position.
Slash the worst.
All right. So on a miss, your starting position is a 3 going into the combat.
So not an ambush then.
it's not going to be an ambush, unfortunately. So could be better. So the enemy position is currently at a 7, and yours is at a 3. And I will say what you've been assigned to do is sort of like provide a screen to Lambda Lance as they go down the center of the freeway. We get the scene of like the rain is pouring down, the wind is kicking up. We can see like small like waves getting blown across this mostly abandoned freeway. There are like cars that have been left on the side of the freeway here and there, and just like the ground is shaking as like these mechs start to like just charge down the freeway from Lambda Lance, and you're going to be kind of like off on the side of the freeway to help out, but the specific way that you do this is going to be dependent on your maneuver. So what you're going to do, Lieutenant, is pick a maneuver from the 5- deck. So if you look in Roll20, there are 2 decks. Can you see those in the bottom right corner?
Yes.
If you mouse over the one that says position 5-, you can go choose and then pick a card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if you click on it, you can see what it is. And then just like drag it over onto the screen when you pick one.
I suggest taking the best card.
Thanks, Cold. I appreciate your your input. Oh, these are all terrible. And we know that we're going up against tanks and 1 enemy lance at least, right?
The current engagement, you're probably just going up against tanks.
Okay.
And I think I made a mistake. Yes. So when I made the bait and switch card, I didn't copy in the right text. Unfortunately. So you can look in the document for the actual text there. Sorry about that.
1, 2 short melee, 1 to 3 fire extreme. I think it's going to be a bait and switch, right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the only one that makes sense here, right? I mean, you could take cover too, if this is about the enemies firing on you.
I think we'll be fine.
Okay. All right. So the way this works is each person in the lance is going to assign themselves to one of the different ranges. So in this maneuver, you can have 1 to 2 units that are in short or melee range, and 1 to 3 units in far or extreme range. So who's going to do what?
I'll be the furthest away.
Okay. You can go extreme, yeah.
Is there anybody who is... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. Never mind.
I was going to say, is there anybody who has, like, short-range weaponry?
I think that... yes, Lieutenant Madrova has, Lieutenant Makarova has, yes, a short range weapon, the SRM.
Also, I like punching things.
Mm-hmm.
And you are the one with the armor.
Yeah,
that is also true.
I can fully take short.
Okay, so you go to short range, and then the rest of you, I guess, are going to go far or extreme.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Blackjack to far.
All right. So what's going to happen here is your successes will be increased by 1, and your failure consequences will be severe and fall on the closest range unit. So anything that goes wrong will hit the lieutenant.
Hey, I'm feeling fantastic, so that is not a concern for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, right? She's going to be playing the bait, right? It's part of the bait and switch is that you are the bait. So we'll move on to the next part of the role, or of the combat process. So you select the maneuver. Each player now selects a weapon they will use. If the weapon is in optimal range, they add +1d to their dice pool. So I think everybody has an optimal range weapon, right? Okay. The player can choose to alpha strike at the cost of 1 heat per extra weapon. They gain +1d for each extra weapon at optimal range. Weapons not at optimal range add no dice. So does anybody want to alpha strike? Okay, so we got one person. How many so you've if I remember correctly, you've got just the 2 medium lasers, right? So you can only fire 1. So that would give you 4 heat in total. And I think I adjusted the heat rules. So your heat track now has 5 segments. So you're almost maxed on heat, firing or getting 4 heat. You have one point left that you can spend. The reason why I did that is because there's only 2 stages to engagement. So if your heat track was long, it would mean that it would never play into the game at all. Okay, so we've got one person alpha striking, so you're going to take an extra die for that. Anybody else?
If I alpha strike, can I do that because my other is only far and not extreme?
You cannot. So you can't alpha strike because you only have 1 weapon at extreme.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
You said the heat track is now to 5?
5. Yeah,
so does that mean like I can't actually alpha strike with all my lasers?
I think that's right. Yes. Let's see. Or you could do it and take the damage. Okay. So let's see. Your sheet. Yes. So that would give you, because these are all hot weapons, it would be 1 heat, and then plus an extra 6. So that would put you at 7.
An extra 6?
Or
sorry, it's still, yeah.
Yes, because each of those weapons are hot, or so yeah, it's 2 heat for each one.
Yeah, I was just thinking of it differently. I was thinking it's going to be 4 heat plus 3 extra for the alpha strike, but
no, it's
4 hot weapons
1,
plus 3.
It's 1 heat because it's hot. So normally you don't spend heat on a weapon, on your first weapon. That doesn't cost you, but it has the hot tag, so you take 1.
Right.
And then for each extra weapon, you would take 1 because it's alpha strike, and then you take another 1 from each of those because each of those are hot.
Right.
So yeah, you could max out your heat. I think that given the rain that is going on here, you can probably knock off 1 heat each of you from what you're taking, because it's cooling your mech down a bit because it's this really intense storm.
In any case, I'm probably just going to... Right now, it's just 2 tanks?
Well, yes, I will tell you... sorry, I neglected to do that. I need to tell you what the actual... what the enemy units are. Yes, so there are not just 2 tanks. there are, in fact, in this engagement, there's 3 tanks that you're up against. One is a super heavy tank. And there's one more which is a regular battle tank, and then one more which is a hover tank. So I will put 3 tanks on the board. And there we go. Okay, so yeah, you're up against 3 tanks. Cool. Yes, so that's the situation. So you're gonna spend. Are you alpha striking or not? No. Okay, so you're not gonna take any heat because the rain's gonna knock off the 1 heat you'd be taking from your weapon. Okay, cool. Then the next thing we're gonna do here is so if you have heavy weapons, for example, you would get a die bonus, but I don't think any of you do. Each player then declares if they have a tag that can aid in the maneuver according to the fiction. So for each such tag, add +1d to your dice pool. So in a bait and switch, right, where the lieutenant is going to be the bait and the rest of you are going to try to hit the enemies when they go after her, do you think you have any tags that would work to your advantage?
I do this all the time.
Okay, so you're going to take +1d
Yeah.
for what? For being a pirate? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I invented this tactic.
Okay, sure.
Practically.
How many times were you the bait?
Once or twice. Usually I'm a sniper.
Yeah, so maybe never.
Yeah.
You're an expert at the switch position, not the bait one.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anybody else have something you think would be relevant?
I mean, are my charlatan skills good at selling the bait and switch?
I think they would definitely factor in if you were the bait, but you're more on the switch side. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that one. I could see it kind of either way, right? Like, I think it's probably a maneuver you sort of intuitively understand. So yeah, I'll give you an extra die, sure.
Do my good piloting skills come in handy? Because like I'm pretty good at like being bait and not getting hit.
I think probably you. I'm going to say you can factor in the piloting, but really what happens is it means that you just aren't at a disadvantage for being drunk.
That's what I was afraid of.
So you're going to kind of cancel out on that one.
And I don't know. I mean, if I were someone else, I would really want to beat me up because I'm privileged. Can I hurl some taunts like at our enemies?
Ooh.
Maybe the mech is really nice. They're like, ooh, gotta get that privilege mech.
Yeah.
So white and shiny.
I think. Oh, you're trying to taunt the enemies?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Well, I guess, yeah. You could probably take 1 die for that. That's fair. Okay. And
probably saying not nice things about their mothers. Sorry. I'm done.
Tejas, do you think you have anything?
I'm thinking maybe with my mechanic skill,
Mm-hmm.
I know that one of these, I'm not sure which one you'd want to call it, but one of the tanks has like a particular weakness that can be exploited.
Sure. Why don't you roll a die of fate, and we'll see if you know that. Because like
Okay.
I think it's reasonable, but you don't necessarily know all tanks, right? So
Right. Got a 4.
okay, so yeah, sure. You recognize maybe that you
I was
you
going to say
recognize
maybe
maybe
the
that battle
hover tank.
Yeah,
Oh, I
sure.
was
The
gonna-
hover tank, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but not the
fairly
super
common
heavy.
model.
Right.
And I think, yeah, in the case of Lieutenant, in the case of Dasha, maybe the reason why your privilege factors into this is because like you come from a privileged background, so you know some German, so you're actually able to taunt these guys in German in their native language, so it pisses them off a little bit more.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm from say, yeah, I'm from that Russian Japanese. I was Russia and Japan that are now merged in this fictional setting, right?
Right, in the Rasselhag Republic, that's where you were
Yeah.
from. But then, yeah, I think you just because you came from a noble background, you'd be educated in sort of like multiple languages, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. I think I probably focused all my studies on all of the swear words and insults in those languages.
Great. So that's definitely playing to your advantage here. Okay, so everybody's got their dice pool sorted out. Make sure you make a note of how many dice you have. The GM checks if the enemy mecha have any weapons in optimal range and takes 1 disadvantage token for each. So you are at close, far, and extreme. So it's a pretty good chance they're going to have something. Let's see. So that's yes, 1. 2 and 3. So all 3 of them do. Okay, so I'm gonna have 3 disadvantage tokens to give out, and then any environmental or situational factors that improve or worsen the PC unit position. So
We fight better in the rain.
I think what it probably actually is I think I think you're at a disadvantage here because the thing is they have a lot of short range weapons and you are going to be trying to fire at them from a distance through the rain to do the switch, right? So the bait is going to get hit pretty hard if this goes badly. So I think this is 1 extra disadvantage token. And if the player units outnumber the enemies, the GM takes 1 advantage token. So yeah, you get 1 advantage token. If they're outnumbered, blah, 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 you're not outnumbered. The GM allocates advantage and disadvantage tokens to pilots. These grant +1d or -1d accordingly. Okay, so I have 1 plus to give you and 4 minuses. Okay, so I'm going to definitely say... yes, so you're out. Okay, so I'm probably gonna give one of you. I'll give Frank 1 advantage token. Oops. For outnumbering. And then the disadvantages, I'm definitely gonna give like 2 to the lieutenant, and then the other 2 will spread around like this. Okay, so if you look on Roll20, if you click on your character, you'll see there's like the green and the red circles. That's how many advantage or disadvantage tokens you have. So whatever your dice pool was, you subtract the disadvantage tokens and you add the advantage tokens.
So if we put the other things in green, would that be good in the green box?
You can, sure, you totally can. Yeah.
Okay, and so I had my piracy thing, right? So is it just 1?
No, you start at 1. You start at 1
So
die.
2.
So you'd have 1, 2, and then back down to 1. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody pretty clear on that?
I have none, right?
So you're at 0D. So you're going to roll 2d6 and take the lowest.
Awesome.
The advantage token that you put on blackjack, is that for my die of fate roll, or is that so I have 1 die plus that advantage? Or
yes, it is.
Okay.
It is plus 1d for the advantage.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody make your rolls.
I'm lost on how many I'm rolling.
Okay. So you were alpha striking, right?
Yep.
You were in optimal range.
Yep.
And you got your die for being the charlatan. So that's 3d6 you would be taking in bonus. So that's 4d6. And you would be taking a -1 for the disadvantage token. So you'd be down to 3d6 you'd roll.
Okay.
Kyle, let's talk about how I'm an outcast.
Damn. Yeah, that's 1 success.
Looks like
okay, 1 partial success, 1 miss.
Crit though, right? Double sixes.
And another miss from Lauren, and then a crit from Tejas. Okay. So now we're gonna figure out what this looks like. Oh shit. One thing I forgot to mention. I'll let you go ahead and make your changes here because I fucked up. At this point, or so before you roll normally, you can choose to spend edge, or you can overboost your mech to get an extra die. So if you choose to spend edge, you just mark off the edge and you take an extra die. So if you failed your roll, maybe you want to take that extra die and try rolling it. And if you want to overboost, you can choose to do one or the other. It means you roll a d6 and you take that much heat. And you get a +1d.
That's fun.
So you could overheat just from overboosting right off the bat, getting a 5 or a 6.
Yep. It is something you only do in a desperate situation.
And I could alternatively use edge to
resist your result.
Yeah. That sounds more fun.
Okay. Go ahead. So it means you're still, well, it means you would, so you would actually spend that later when the consequences are assigned, because you can't resist failing a roll. You can just resist consequences.
Yeah. So as long as it's not damage, I can resist it.
Okay. So is anybody going to re-roll a die? Or sort of like basically roll an extra die to try to succeed? In the case of the lieutenant, you could actually re-roll entirely, because you could spend an edge so you wouldn't be rolling from 0D, right? So you'd go up to rolling 1d6 instead of 2d6, take the lowest.
Nice.
Do you want to spend that last edge you've got there?
I think I have 2 Rick, so you refresh.
No, because you spent 1 on trying to persuade the major.
Oh, I did. Yeah, you're right. Fuck. No, damn it. So much. You're just getting very brain mouth Lauren right now.
Or you could spend that edge to try to resist the consequences, because the worst consequences are going to fall on you, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And how does lucky factor in for this?
Oh, good point. Yeah, we'll say if you want to spend that lucky, we could say you can re-roll that 2d6, take the lowest.
That does not sound like a good deal.
Or you spend the edge to reroll, and then if you fail, you still get lucky and get out of it.
Dump it all in
And
this
if you really
roll.
want to game it, you could get 1d6 and then re-roll the result.
Or
Yeah.
couldn't you just use, because it says avoid a bad outcome and get away scot-free, so.
Yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah, so you could spend it to avoid the really, really bad consequences that are coming.
So like, yeah. So like a whole take this hit, and then when the bad consequences start rolling in, be like, well, get out of it. Okay, that sounds fun.
Okay, so let's see how this goes. Okay, so the total results we got. So if you got a mixed success, we add 1 to your successes. So that's 1, and that's it for mixed successes.
Oh wait, I think I need to roll another die though, because I have shootist too.
Oh shit! Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see.
Go for it.
Let's see what happens. 5. So mixed success.
Okay, so we get that's 2 points. We didn't get any successes, and we got 1 crit. So that I believe adds 3. Yeah, 3. So okay, so you have 5 successes. Okay, so that's cool. Your position is going to go up by 1. So you are now in a position of 4 instead of 3. And we will, we will now look at the consequences. So on a 5 to 8, the PCs suffer a moderate consequence. So there's going to be a moderate consequence that falls on the lieutenant, on Dasha, because she is, and it additionally says that because we did bait and switch, failure consequences are severe. So it's worse for you. So you're going to take a severe consequence. So okay, so this is what happens, right? You're coming down the highway, like we see Dasha like going by herself in her Shadowhawk down the highway, and all the other mechs are sort of like trailing behind on the flank, trying to get in position to like hit the enemies when they reveal themselves. And we see like it's, you know, Dasha's looking at like her radar display, and like it is really like messed up because of all the storm. There's so much interference. It's really hard to notice like what's going on. And you know, like maybe on the other side of the freeway, there is Alpha Lance that's like running along beside. And then from under an overpass, we see a whole bunch of SRMs, short-range missiles, come streaking out all of a sudden. There's a flash of light in the darkness, and we see the Shadowhawk just get hammered by like 10 short-range missiles. And it is just like there's smoke, there's shrapnel flying everywhere, and I'll say, why don't you roll a die of fate there?
Oh, can my lucky get me out of this?
Yes, you can. So you could completely escape this if you want.
Yes, please.
Okay, so rewind. What happens is, you're running down the highway. The missiles streak out, but because you're lucky, you just happen to like run behind like one of the supports on an overpass, and all the missiles pile into that support, and you run past, and the bridge collapses behind you. Meanwhile, the enemy position is revealed, and the rest of the team starts to fire on the enemies, right? So we see some missiles streak out from the Valkyrie, and we see some medium lasers sort of crackle and fire as the enemy position is revealed. And yeah, I think like probably we see the medium tank like just go up and explode. Okay, so get rid of that guy. In the distance, you can see that like Lambda Lance is engaging some other units, and we then, I believe, can proceed to the next stage of engagement. Yes. Okay. So neither side has been destroyed. Your position is improved, given the last stage of engagement. So we're now moving to the final stage of engagement. So did anyone fire from a disadvantageous position? I don't think so, right? Okay. So I'm just going to roll a d4 to decide who is going to choose the next maneuver.
When you say disadvantageous position, does that include like the disadvantage tokens you passed out?
Actually, it could, but because I passed them out to multiple people, I don't think that's decisive. Well, yeah, I mean, the most disadvantageous position was certainly the person who was the bait, right? So I think, yeah, I think it's going to be again. Dasha is going to be picking the maneuver. So I'll return that card to the deck, and you can now pick again from the 5- deck for which card you want to use. So are you going to take cover? Are you going to make a fighting retreat? Are you going to make a full retreat, just like run like a coward? Are you... I don't think you can do the bait and switch again, right? Because you've already done that, so...
Yeah.
Did our successes increase by +1?
Oh,
Less?
Good point. So you get you had 5 successes. Thank you. 5 successes, and that means it doesn't change. You still be getting the same position +1. But thank you for letting me know. Yes. So bait and switch, I think, is off the table, but other options would be take cover, full retreat, or a fighting retreat.
How are you guys feeling? Are you guys keen to do some more fighting? You guys sound
That's the
confident.
only way to win.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine to take cover, because it would make sense that they would reveal themselves and shoot at us, and then we take cover now, and then maybe next time that's when we shoot.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I would vote fighting retreat, but
It's your call, Lieutenant.
Retreating is like we don't fight again?
No, retreating is so if you're on a fighting retreat, it just means that. So what it says for the description of the maneuver is On a
Yeah.
failure, one unit within the closest range is caught out of position and must select melee range in the next stage, but there is no next stage. So it pretty much just doesn't really have an effect, except no unit can be in melee range.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? I think fighting retreat. Or
Yeah.
I guess
So-
likewise taking cover. It doesn't matter if we don't improve our position because this is the last round of combat, right?
No, it does matter because that's
Oh,
gonna affect what the conclusion of the combat is.
Ah, shit.
If you
Then yeah, that's not it. Do that.
So like the taking cover is like a really good thing to do if say you're low and you want to make sure you don't get wiped out.
Yeah.
This one is more of like a sort of neutral option. It doesn't really have one effect one way or the other in this case.
Yeah.
So if you look at the way the mission is resolved, it's so if you have like a big success, you could get a position +2. And so you end up with 5 successes last time. If you had been at 1, or sorry, you were at 6 because of the thing you chose. But if you had been at like 4, then your position would be reduced. So I don't know.
If we get even just one more success is better though, right? Because then we
no, it's better. It's better. Yeah. Just like, yeah, I mean, you're not in danger of being wiped out, really, right? Because the worst result you can get is a -2 to your position. So you probably don't need to worry about taking cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably a fighting retreat is what I'm hearing.
Okay, so go for it.
Yeah.
All right. So the fighting retreat means that in this situation, there's no special effect. We're just going to go through the combat. So we will go back to the beginning of the stage. So we selected the maneuver. The special effect is not applicable here. Each player is going to select a weapon they will use. So we can be in exactly the same configuration as last round because the only restriction is that somebody can't be in melee. So if you want to just do the same thing you did last time, you can completely do that. I think the only thing is that Fraser, it would be Cold Ruin and Frank, your advantages that we talked about before wouldn't necessarily be applicable because you're no longer doing a bait and switch, right? So you're in a fighting retreat. Do you think that your backgrounds or anything would be applicable to that? Like basically, it's like this huge swarm of missiles came out. And now it's like probably the lieutenant is trying to fall back so she doesn't get just completely wiped out by these SRMs. But the rest of you are shooting to give her cover fire.
Yeah. I mean, I've done this maneuver 1,000 times as an outcast pirate.
Have you though?
Oh yeah. I feel like this is a situation pirates would be in frequently.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, running away is a thing pirates do, certainly.
Fighting when they were
fighting and running away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The charlatan thing I think is maybe less applicable here.
Yeah, no, now I'm just rolling with the punch.
Good point. I like it. Okay, so I think it was only Frank you were alpha striking. Are you going to do that again this time?
Well, actually, I could if I use my heat sink, I guess.
Yes.
Now that I think about it. Yeah, sure. What the hell? That's what it's for, right?
Yep.
Could I change to far position in Alpha Strike?
You have. Yes, you could. Yes, you could.
Okay, I'll do that with my medium laser and LRMs.
Okay, awesome. So yes, you're going to take. That would count as 3 heat.
3 heat.
Or no, sorry, 2 heat. 2 heat.
2 heat.
Yeah. 1 because your medium laser is hot, and then you're going to take 1 extra because you're firing the LRM.
Okay, and then edge. I'm supposed to have 2 edge, right?
Yes, you start with 2 edge.
Okay, the person who has 3 is just really lucky.
Yeah. What's? Did I make a mistake?
No, I made a mistake. Then I thought our edge went up to 3 when we.
You did, but I changed the rules. So yeah, so it used to be your rank plus 1, but now it's just your rank.
Okay.
Okay.
So that should be 2.
So you can spend edge after we figure out advantage and disadvantage if you want to modify that. But basically, you're all at the same basic positions you were last time, except for Fraser, who now has an extra die.
Cool.
Okay. So in terms of the range, that one of the enemies has been knocked out, so I take 1 less disadvantage token. So I'm taking 2 there, and you're making a fighting retreat. So I think this time the rain is actually working to your advantage because you're trying to get away. So I'm going to give you an advantage token for that. And any other things that would be super relevant here? I don't think so. I think that's 1 advantage and 2 disadvantage tokens I'm looking at. Okay, cool. So now I'll give you those. So I think I'm going to say there's 1 disadvantage going to the Shadowhawk because you're running away, like you're in the most exposed position. And I will also say so sorry, the blackjack, you're not alpha striking, right?
You know what? This round I think I will.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So
I mean,
how many lasers do you think you're going to fire? You remember, you can also spend a heat sink if you do go over on your heat.
Mm-hmm. I think I'll fire 3 because that would be 5, but then we'll lose 1 in the rain, so I'll be at 4. Okay,
cool. So you're firing 3 lasers. Okay, so you're going to take you take 3 dice for that.
Okay.
And in that case, I feel like both of the disadvantage tokens are falling on the Shadowhawk. So let's say 2.
I knew it.
And the advantage here, I think, is probably going to the Valkyrie because
I'm a pirate.
Well, because you're firing missiles and they're less fucked up by the rain.
That too.
So I think you're at 5 then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So everybody's gonna roll, except you can now spend edge if you want.
Kyle, double check me then. So I was at 1 plus 1 for being at optimal range.
Yep.
+1 for knowing the weakness of the hover tank, and
Yep.
now 3 more for alpha striking.
Yep. So you're at 66.
Holy cow! Okay.
I'll spend my bonus to get 66 as well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna fuck these people up. Roll 66.
Everybody else clear on what your dice pool is?
Not good.
Not good. Okay, so yours is
so.
yours is
Am I doing the same?
yeah, you're gonna be so if you're not okay, because you have you're at short range, you could move into far range if you wanted to.
That might be an idea. And then I can just
and then that would mean that you could alpha strike.
yeah, I'll do that. That sounds good. That sounds like a thing a drunk person should do.
Okay.
Plus you're retreating.
I will move you into far range. And yeah, you're retreating. That totally makes sense. So how many of your weapons do you want to fire?
Well, I think I can only fire 2 because I'm out of autocannon ammo.
That is correct. You are out of
And I have
autocannon ammo.
A
Yeah.
medium laser that I can fire far, and then an LRM I can fire far.
Okay. Yes, that's right. So okay, so that means you would take 3 heat -1. So it's 2. Yeah. Because of the rain, you're subtracting 1 heat. So you're rolling 2d6 for that. +1 for your base. That's 3d6. And you're going to take 2 disadvantage. You go back down to 1 die. And I don't know, maybe you're piloting here for trying to run away. So 2d6.
Might want to spend an edge too.
Yeah, I want to be like all the cool kids and have 6 dice.
You took 1 for the team. Oh right, I forgot you're drunk, so you don't get that die.
God damn it! I was hoping you wouldn't remember.
1d6. So you want to spend an edge there? At least you're not rolling at a disadvantage, right?
How much of a lightweight am I? I just had 1 drink.
We never said that. You might have had more.
I might have been more. Yeah, I saw that it was a pretty liberal drink. Someone poured me.
Yeah, right.
I don't. Can my jump jets like give me any benefit here, like for getting away, or like I don't know.
Ooh, they totally could. Yes. So you could take an extra advantage die, but that would also mean getting an extra heat.
Yeah.
Cool with that? I think it should be okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so you mark 1 extra heat, and you're going to be rolling 2d6.
What? Okay, I'll roll 2d6.
And you can spend edge if you want. But
yeah, I'll spend an edge as well.
okay, so it's 3d6.
Yeah, sounds good.
I've got a good feeling about this.
I do not have a good feeling about this.
Right, and let me check my math. So I'll start at 1. 1 for optimal range, an extra 1 for the alpha strike, and then an extra 1 for rolling with the punch. So I'm rolling 4.
Yep, that's right. And you didn't take any disadvantages, yeah. So yeah, that's right.
Against all odds, being drunk, I got a 6.
Okay, all right, great. So you got that 6. Okay, so Fraser got a success. Tagus, you got a mixed success on 66. Wow.
I know.
Lauren, you got a success, and then Brian, you got a mixed success. So we got 2 mixed successes, so that's 2 points. And then we also got 2 successes, so that is an additional 4 points. You got 6 points. The maneuver is not making any adjustments to that. And so your position is still increased by 1. So you go up to 5. Oh boy. Interesting. Okay. So what that means is, okay, so to just think about the fiction here, we see...
I thought we were at 6, though. Didn't we go from 5 to 6 or something? Or
no, you went from, what was it?
That was our number of successes.
You started with 3. Your position was 3. Then you went up to 4.
Oh, okay.
Wait, hang on. You started at 3. Oh yeah. That didn't affect your position. You don't get +1 position. You just get +1 to your total when you're figuring how much your position changes. So yeah, so it's 5. It's 5. You're at 5, not 6. You got 2 successes from 3. So that's it's 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5.
We would have needed everybody to succeed and somebody to get a critical in order to go to position +2.
Yeah.
I spent an edge to get it to 6.
Well, it's still, that still would have kept our position would still be down by 1 compared to the enemy. So we really just were fighting to not.
Well, you'd be up 1, right? It'd be 6 versus 4.
Are they losing position every time we're gaining position?
Yeah, they're exactly inverse to each other. Yeah, so you're currently tied. That's what the result was, a tie. So I think what happens is
so you don't track. I'm sorry, you don't track the enemy position. The enemy position is always just 10 minus
just
whatever yours
exactly
is.
Inverse, or like exactly proportional to yours. Yeah. Just to keep things simple. So we see Dasha fire the jump jets and like spin around, maybe a little bit drunkenly, but gets off the Alpha Strike. And it's probably like there are some, there's the supporting fire laying down, and it's probably like the super heavy tank takes some heavy hits. It's not taken out, but it is definitely pretty fucked up. So there should be a moderate consequence for this result, which I think would be, let's say, yeah, give me a die of fate again there, Dasha. Let's see how this goes.
Well, Lauren gets to choose one way the enemy effort is frustrated. Is that the CO?
The CO, yes. So,
sorry, Dasha.
The conclusion, though, is when we're going to go to that next, but first we need to resolve the consequences for the last stage.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
I rolled a 4 on the dice of fate.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that one of your legs is seriously damaged.
That's okay. I still got 2 fists.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You still got jump jets. You still got a one really well functioning leg. So on your sheet under the notes, mark your left leg as damaged.
But can she resist the consequence?
Yes. No, because she's out of edge.
I was gonna say I would,
right.
But my luck has literally run out.
Okay, good. All right, so now we go to the tied position. So we are in a grinding deadlock. So you, Lauren, are going to narrate one way the enemy efforts to destroy your unit are frustrated. What works to your advantage here in this deadlock?
Could it be like because they're just tanks, right?
Yep.
Could it be like the freeway that fell like across the expressway, like up when they initially tried to hit me, but I was too good.
Mm-hmm.
And they blew up that bit instead of me. So there's like a barrier like this to navigate to get between us and them.
Yeah, right. So like they're like slowed trying to get over this rubble that's been left from the overpass that collapsed. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'll narrate one way you fail to get an advantage. I think what happens is that the other Lambda Lance is pinned down, and they can't move to get a flank on the tanks when they're trying to get over that rubble. So each player simultaneously votes whether or not their pilot has the strength to continue the conflict. So you're going to type this into chat. You say continue or don't continue. Like continue or retreat, right? Or actually, you know what? Just say yes or no. So you just write it in and then don't press enter yet. Okay. So now everybody, you can press enter. Okay, so everybody voted yes. All right, so that's good for you. What this means is each pilot narrates each player narrates their pilot's contribution to a decisive victory. So how do you turn the situation to your unit's advantage and crush these tanks?
Hey, let's talk about Halo jumping, guys. Well, yeah, because they're tanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe while they're trying to negotiate the rubble, we're like up on. I go up on the top portion of it, and it's harder for them to shoot at me.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, you're firing from an advantageous position. Are you using like your jump jets to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I think we realized that the rain is heavy enough that it's cooling down enough that you can't normally you can't continuously be using the jump jets, but if we kind of just toggle them on and off, we can kind of like get a level of maneuverability where we can just kind of.
You're flanking them faster than their turret can.
Yeah, we can just maneuver, take shots, move away, as their return fire is coming in.
Sure.
Pick away at them.
And as we're doing this, like using our jump jets and stuff in the rain, like shooting from this advantageous position, I'm still just cursing at them in German because
drunkenly cursing German at them. They're probably screaming back at you on the radio. How do you think Farlow contributes to this decisive victory?
I think that since they're trying to navigate the rubble to come towards us, I move out and around so that I can finally get some shots in on that weak side of the hover tank, and I'm able to. I don't know whether it actually gets destroyed or not, but I managed to pound it enough that it takes it out of the fight. Maybe it has to retreat because it knows it's going to.
No, I mean, you scored a decisive victory, so I think it's done, right? Like, I think that you, it's probably something like the super heavy tank, the behemoth. It gets stuck on the rubble. You just slowly pick away at it until because it was already hit pretty hard by your first volley, and you just pick away at it until its armor is fried and it just blows up. Its SRMs are cooking off, and the hover tank, it's maybe a position. It's like it overshoots your position, and you're using the jump jets to move around it, and it's trying to come around, but you know where the weak point is. The engine blows up and it just kind of like the skirt and everything falls apart, and it's just like flying across this storm-soaked freeway. And then the bulldog was already taken out. So yeah.
Through our comms, I start shouting, "Where is Steiger? Do you know where he is?" Shouting at them.
Steiger's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And the tank blows up and it just goes staticky.
Hey, what's up? Yeah. Oh shit! No.
Yeah. We can make a deal.
Nice. Okay, so you got a total victory, glorious breakthrough. The enemy is wiped out without cost. The enemy line collapses. All objectives are completed. So I think it is a thing where there's no further damage sustained to your unit, and you are able to move from fighting these tanks to relieving Lambda Lance from being pinned down. And the Lance is able to, or like both Lances, your two Lances together are able to continue down the freeway towards the metalworks at a good speed. Still wearing aviators. Yes, lances. All the lances get maximum penetration of all the armor. Great, cool. Okay, so that is going to be the end of the first combat. You can now try to do some maintenance and repairs before you get into the next one.
Can we scavenge ammunition from the big tank, since it did not actually like blow up? We just sort of pounded it into pieces.
Well, I did say the ammo cooked off.
Oh,
but,
wait. Okay, sorry, I missed that.
Let's see. The medium tank, maybe you could scavenge something from. Let's see. I'm just seeing if they have any ammo you could use. I think you're able to get some SRM2 ammo from the hover tank. So that would be useful for the Shadowhawk. You currently aren't down on ammo for that weapon, but we can say it's restored to full, right? You fired it once, but it wasn't completely expended, and now you're able to reload. So maintenance and repairs. All your heat gauges are set back to 0. And your edge is restored. So you go back up to 2 edge. And then the only player who had their mech damaged was Lauren. So
Was it?
yeah, I think you were the only one who took damage. I mean, you were the bait, right? It makes sense.
I forgot that my leg got real fucked up.
Did the armor help with that at all, or like how does the armor?
Oh, you could. That's true. You could spend your armor to avoid that consequence. Because you do have armor on your mech. That is a good point.
You should be bad.
Okay.
Okay, so you your armor's gone. You'll
so
have
in the
to.
New rules, armor's a checkbox, not like a.
Yeah, it's just you can soak it.
Okay.
To avoid a consequence instead of doing HP, because I took HP out of the game.
I have an Excel question.
Yes.
Do I my armor to 0? And if so, it's got an Excel formula there.
Yeah, put it to 0 is okay for now.
Hang on. I see. There we go.
Okay.
I see where it's drawing from now. I'm good.
So you will be able to try to get your armor fixed up after this mission, but at the present moment, there's no way for you to access like the material you would need to restore it. Like it's it's just not around. You're still out there on the field. But the good thing is that you do not need to roll to do maintenance. So we can say that you're able to sort of travel extra fast to your objective because like you just salvage that ammo and then get back on the road. Okay, so just to recap, if you haven't done it already, set your heat gauge to 0 and your edge back up to max to 2.
Yeah. I was wondering, how come we got such a good outcome when it seemed like we weren't that good?
Because that's what happens when you get to a tie.
Oh, okay.
It's the tiebreaker, right? If you all vote to stick it out, then you get a decisive victory because like you're all, it's your group is fighting together. You're showing your grit. The tie ends up breaking in your favor.
So if somebody said no, would we have gotten fucked up?
You would have got, so you would have gone instead. What happens? You roll 2d6. If the result is higher than the total number of votes to continue, the unit suffers a decisive loss.
Oh.
The consequences fall on those who voted to continue the fight.
I like that.
And if all players vote to abandon the fight, each describes how they fight their way to a narrow loss.
Cool.
Yeah. So
cool.
In theory, it's always to your advantage to vote yes. However, you got to kind of think about the role play, the situation, and also you got to think about if you're the person who votes yes and everybody else votes no, you're probably going to get fucked up real bad.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the deal with the tiebreaker. But it's pretty. I think it's probably pretty unusual to get that result. So I don't know. Anyway, it's pretty cool. We got to test that out.
Yeah.
So I think we'll maybe take a break here before we go to the next mission, or like the next stage of this mission. And the next time we do combat, I think I will use the simplified rules. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out instead of doing it the way we did. Yeah, so let's take 5, and I'll see you back in 5.
Yeah, you don't sound all stuffed up anymore at all.
Yeah, it's that talking. It's got things moving, I think.
Oh, you still feel like you're still feeling the stuff. You need that reacted.
Yeah, my eyes are still a little bit itchy, and my nose is too, a little bit. But should be fine once I go for a walk or something. So because I just woke up before I started running this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So what did you think about the combat?
I liked it. I think, like, especially once I like just learned the equation, and then everyone knows what they're doing, I think it would go faster.
Right.
I think,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like it didn't even take that long. It was like 40 minutes or so, right?
Right.
Something like that. So
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty good for 2 rounds.
Yeah, it goes through the whole thing. So yeah, I think I could see it probably getting down to like half an hour once you knew, because like your mech doesn't really change very much, right? Like it might change a little bit, but pretty much your loadout is your loadout. So if you're playing multiple sessions, you'd pretty much just be looking at the same sort of factors. So I think you could, yeah, it could get down to like 25, 30 minutes for a session of combat. But yeah, we'll see how it goes when we do this the simpler way of doing things.
I know that you don't normally come up with positions tied at 5 and 5.
Yeah,
but I feel like there needs to be a slightly stronger reason to vote no.
Yep. Okay.
Just because, like, otherwise, I don't know why you would ever not vote yes. Especially because, like, if everybody votes yes, you get a decisive victory. If everybody votes no, you get a narrow loss. And if it's mixed, then,
it's real bad.
You're getting really bad. So you should always vote yes. You know what I mean? So I feel there has to be, like, a little bit of a consequence or just some reason to vote no.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's... I could make it so that if everybody votes yes, you get a less clear success. It would be yeah, the benefit of everybody voting yes would be less pronounced.
I actually like the decisive victory, that whole, like, everybody showing their grit. Maybe it would be like a role playing, or maybe there has to be like damage to the mechs, but you get a decisive victory, or maybe like there's some sort of like role playing negative that comes out of it. I don't know. I'd have to think.
Right. That's possible.
Maybe everyone describes the sacrifice they make to continue, or something along those lines.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, effectively would be a less decisive victory, but it would be more clear what it is you need to say for what the consequences were.
Yeah, that's actually really good. It's like a one-word change, and it takes care of the why would you vote for no.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it.
I think if people know the system a lot better, they'll be RPing more in the combat as well, and then that's when you might get people being like, "No, I'm not gonna continue," and stuff like that. Because
and if it's like down the road when your mech has like one leg and one arm, and you're out of ammo, you might be more likely to say, "I don't have the strength to carry on." Right?
We got lucky because I took all the blow. But I was like, it didn't happen. So we were in pretty good shape.
You took the worst hit. Yeah, because you like, yeah, I mean, if you had taken that hit, it's possible like you would have been down to like your mech would have been like completely fucked, because you would have taken like 10 SRMs to the chest. So yeah.
Yeah. I may have, I don't know. Rough though, because not in a coherent state of mind, so
too many games today. Okay, so yeah, so otherwise, any sort of thoughts about the combat? Was it overly crunchy? Was it hard to follow? Did you think it was something you could kind of learn and enjoy?
Yeah, I thought it was just the right amount of crunch for me. I think even if you have like a printable battle map or something where you're like start at +1 and then advantageous shooting position, another +1, and then other factors and stuff.
Sure, yeah. If I mark down those factors and as part of the battle map, that could make it easier to understand for sure.
Yeah, and then I think it would be quite quick after that. And on Roll20, I found it really helpful to be able to just mark my token with the.
Yeah, definitely super helpful. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I can use this thing for once. Okay, well, we'll try the more simplified version next, which is going to be instead of everybody rolling for themselves, we are going to have one dice pool for the entire group, and we're going to be rolling D10s instead of D6s with a different resolution numbers. So yeah, it'll be rolling for our party exactly. Yeah, so on these new dice, it'll be a 1 to 7 is a fail, an 8 to 9 is a partial success, and a 10 is a full success. And if you have double 10s, you crit, right? So that's going to be, but there'll just be one roll. So yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So
successes and crits are a lot harder to get then.
Yeah, because the dice pool is going to be like big, you know. It's going to end up like there's going to be a lot of D10s in that pool. You quickly salvage that ammo. You probably hear from the major. She says, "Okay, we've got what we need. We're doing okay here. Let's just keep moving. We can make it to the factory and we can relieve the colonel." I think it's I don't know, it's a pretty intense engagement over there right now. Anything you have to say there, Lieutenant?
I'm still wearing my cool aviators.
Yes. Maybe sobering up a little bit. That adrenaline's helping you.
Yeah, but it makes a bit of a headache. There's nothing worse than being day sobering up is the worst.
Yes.
I don't know. I think she just says like, "Yep, Roger, got it." Like, no problem. It's all good.
Well, you got that decisive victory, so
yeah, we fucked them up. They're done with.
Yeah, so I think it's like, we see like all 7 mechs because it was basically your lance was down 1 mech, and then one of the mechs went from her lance over to, so it would be Tejas' character went from Lambda Lance over to Omega Lance. So this would be 7 mechs in total. You'd be just like going down this giant open freeway towards the lights, like the sort of auxiliary lights of the factory they're on, because all the rest of the lights are like dead, right? Because you already knocked out that dam. So like it's like there's no like street lamps or anything that you can see along the freeway because all the power is out. But there are like the auxiliary lights of the factory you can see in the distance, as well as just like you can see like missiles going off and lasers firing in the distance as the battle keeps going. Yeah, you are 100% on the expressway to the danger zone. So we'll do the next engagement roll now. I think you're going to be in a much better position for this one. We'll see, though. So the engagement roll. Is the team well supplied? Not really, no. Does the team have reliable and relevant intelligence? Yes. Is the team especially, or is the enemy especially vulnerable to the team's approach? I would say yes, because you're going to have so many mechs on the field now. Like you've got what, 11, potentially 11 mechs, because you have 3, like you have a full company attacking this factory now. Almost a full company. You're down 1 mech. And who knows how many the Colonel has left. Is the team engaging a strongly held enemy position? Yes. Do the team's mecha have a significant speed advantage over the enemy? Let me see what they have left. So that's out. Who? So I think, okay, so that's going to be, they're going to be having that, and then I'm going to say yes, you do. You do have a speed advantage over the enemy. So it's giving you an extra die. Does the approach involve an exceedingly complex battle plan? Not at all, no. It's just a frontal assault. Is the broader operational situation in the team's favor? I'm going to say no matter what the Colonel's position is, that yes, it is, because you got there fast, right? And you're bringing like 2 lances to bear, so that's great. So yeah, so I'll say you're rolling with 3d6. So let's see. It's not that much better, but it is better.
Yeah, I like them odds. Oh shit! I got a 2, a 3, and a 1.
Oh shit! Those were good odds, but just not good enough. Okay, well, you're in the same position again. Do you want to spend an edge to try to get a bonus die there?
Yes, please.
Okay, so spend that edge and see if you can get something better.
Okay. Got a bad feeling about this. Oh, I got a 6.
Okay, that's gonna help. That's gonna help a lot. All right. So make sure you mark down you're at 1 edge now. Okay, so you got a success, which means your starting position is 6. All right. I will now. So your goal here, I guess, is to capture the factory, right? Like this is what this engagement is about. And I will reveal all the enemy units. So this is going to be a lot. There's what, 1. So I'm going to roll. I'll roll like Die of Fate to see how this lance is doing here, because I think they might be kind of fucked up. Okay. Yeah, so we'll say you're up against 6 enemy mechs and 1 tank. But let's see how many does the Colonel have? Because like I think you're still probably outnumbering them overall. Oh shit. Okay, so I think you're probably at 9 versus 6. Yeah, you have 9 mechs. They have 6 mechs, and they have 1 tank. So the odds are in your favor. But what you see on the map here is going to be 6 enemy mechs and a tank. But it's heavily defended. Oh shit. There we go. So it's 1 tank and then 6 mechs. Smaller. 4 and 5 and 6. Okay, so that's 6 mechs, and it's probably best for me to note down what these mechs are because there's so many. So there's 1 Night Sky, which is a heavy, which is the mech piloted by your rival there. It's Farlow's rival, Colonel Steger. Yeah. So I'll make an adjustment there. So this is show the nameplate. Yes. Okay, so that's a Night Sky. The other mechs we've got on the enemy side are an Axeman, we've also got, oops, that's not the right spelling, but whatever. We've got a Penetrator, the most penetrative of lances. And finally a Maelstrom. So that's the main enemy lance. And then finally, we've got in the other lance a Hatchet Man. And a Enfield. Okay. Wow. All right. So, yes. Okay. So just to let you know, on the enemy side, there are. So I think this is 1, 2, 3. 3 heavy mechs and 2 medium mechs. So they're tough. Yeah, they're no joke. But on your side, you have a whole bunch of mechs too. So I'll take that into account when we're thinking about, you know, who's being outnumbered and stuff like that. Okay, so this time around, things are going to be a little bit different because you are at 6 for your position. So the first thing we're going to do is choose the maneuver. So if you want, Lauren, if you want to choose something from the 6+ deck.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think ranged bombardment is probably going to be our best bet.
Okay, sure. So range bombardment, you get +1 to your resulting position, and that's pretty much all it does. Yeah, it's also just I made a mistake in that card, and my cards are a mess. So the restrictions for range bombardment is all units must be at far range or extreme range, cannot be at short or melee.
Is that fine? I feel like we're all pretty far. Like,
yes, it is really only your mech that has any advantages from being at short or melee.
I'm fine starting out far.
Yeah, where's everybody? You can position yourselves where you think you want to be. Is everybody going to take far? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, this is a thing I forgot to do completely. So what I'm supposed to do here is add in some notes for what the terrain is at each range. So I think here there's probably a wall at melee range. I think here at extreme range, we're probably the freeway. At far range, I think it's like probably this is like a no man's land. There's no cover. It's just like it's built out to be like this is just like gravel. So that the turrets and stuff from the factory can have a clear shot on something approaching. And close up, I think there are probably like some trees built around the wall. So yeah. So if that affects your decision at all of where you want to position yourself, then you can change your position.
So, like, are you saying that it would be wise of me to go to further away?
There would probably be more cover for you out there. So that could work to your advantage. It would kind of be a trade-off, right? Because you would maybe have an you wouldn't be like at a disadvantage because of where you were standing, but then also you would not be able to alpha strike, right?
Right. Yeah, I'll stay at far so I can alpha. Let's try to kill them ASAP.
Okay. Let's do it. All right, so let's keep going. So the next thing we're going to do is then so every player is going to select the weapon you use. You can still alpha strike if you want to. So let me know, and I'm going to add this all to one dice pool. So instead of each person making their own, we're just going to do it all together.
I am going to do both my weapons alpha striking.
Okay, so
is it still raining, by the way?
It is, yes. So you take the 2 heat. Okay, so that's so you're both your weapons, so that's 2 dice. So Tejas, what are you doing?
So now that there's not hit points, how exactly does damage work when you exceed your heat?
You're just gonna straight up knock out one of your systems. So it would be either if you had like sensors or something, you could burn that, but if you don't, then you have to take out like a limb, pretty much.
Okay. Would I be able to pop my heat sink as part of the alpha strike?
Yes, you totally can. Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, I will alpha strike.
Okay. And how many weapons are you gonna bring in there?
Let's see. I got 4. Might as well use 4.
Okay.
4 lasers.
So you're gonna roll a d6 to see how much heat you soak with your heat sink.
Okay.
So okay, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, puts you up to 6d10.
Oh, 2.
Okay. So how are you on heat? Are you maxed out?
Let's see. That would
each additional one is going to give you 2 heat.
Okay, so
1 heat.
I'd be at 7.
2 for total of 7. Yeah.
And minus 2 is 5. So can you survive 5? Or
you can survive 5, but you're going to take damage.
Okay. Or no, would I be at 4 because of the rain taking off 1?
Oh right. Yep. You're right. Yeah, barely squeaked in there. Good job. All right. Okay, so Lauren, how many are you firing?
I think I'm just gonna do the 1 LRM from far.
Okay. So you don't take any heat, so that's going to give us an extra die. Okay, 7d10. And Brian, what are you doing? 2?
2.
Okay, so that's 9d10. Okay, so it's a 9d10. I'm going to mark that down just on my scratch pad. Okay. 9d10. Cool. All right. So the next thing that's going to happen, do you have any tags that can aid in your maneuver? So you can only choose, in this variant of the rules, you can only bring 1 tag into this. So you're making a ranged bombardment. Does anybody have something that would help with that?
Shootist.
Yes. So that gives you 1 die.
What is you said like heavy weapons have a particularly effect? What was that?
That's so if you have a heavy weapon, it gives you 2d10, I think, and if you have a super heavy weapon, it gives you an exploding d6.
Okay. It says each of my medium lasers is heavy, so does that affect?
Oh, maybe that's. Hang on, give me a second here, because I think I might have made a mistake with that. Oh no, so it's far, heavy, hot. Yeah, so okay, so yeah, you're right. The heavy tag, what it does. Thank you for letting me know, because this is gonna make a big fucking dice pool. Here we go. So yeah, heavy weapon is a +1d. So if anybody fired medium laser, so that's Brian, you had 2, so that's gonna give us an extra 2 dice, and then Tejas, you were firing what, 4?
4.
Yeah, so that's an additional 4 dice. So it's +6, or it's 16d10. Okay.
I shot a medium laser too, right?
Yes, you did. So
I think everybody did. That's what
no,
everybody
Lauren
has
didn't.
it.
Lauren did not.
Yeah, she shot a missile.
Okay, so we're at 17d10. Okay. Awesome. Like it. Okay. So now, yeah, and
but that doesn't count as my tag.
No, that does not count as your tag. That's just from your weapon. So for Fraser, you had shootist, which was your talent. So I can add that in. I think I did add that in.
Yeah, it's already counted.
Yeah, and then does anybody else have a tag that would be relevant, or a ranged bombardment? I have a feeling probably not, but
would command help if we've got like a lot of mechs and stuff? So
I could see that. Yeah,
everyone, assuming I'm competent.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay. The rest of you probably not. So 18d10. Okay.
Would the factory be standardized at all? Like, with my construction background, tell me like what approaches to the factory we'd be able to like get through easier to.
This is the thing I forgot to mention. So part of your mission directive here is to not damage the factory. So I don't think that this is going to come into play. If you were trying to destroy the factory, absolutely. But I think that because like, I don't think it's not a standardized factory. This is like a one of a kind. There are only like maybe 2 other factories in the entire inner sphere that are as large as this one. But yeah, if you were trying to destroy the factory, I'd definitely give you an advantage for the construction thing. So
how about the construction of the wall that's in between us and them?
If you were trying to destroy the wall, you could definitely do that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of
if you go for that target, I'm going to roll die of fate to see if you accidentally destroy some buildings. So I mean, is that cool with you?
Well, I mean,
So
the wall is still a part of the factory, right? Like, if we're trying to take it intact, I feel like
the wall, like, I don't think they care if you destroy the wall. It's more like the production buildings that they're concerned about. So I forgot to give you your primary and secondary objectives. The primary objective is to relieve the kernel. The secondary objective is to not damage the factory. So
no, I think I'll hold back.
okay,
It's only a die. It's not worth it.
Yeah. So okay. So everybody's got their heat marked down. We've got that dice pool built. Now, this is where it's going to get dicey. No pun intended. And so for the enemies, do the enemies have weapons in optimal range, and what are the weapons, right? So, okay. You are all at far. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. They've got total of, I think, 16 weapons at optimal range. And I'm gonna say because you outnumber them, I'm gonna knock off 2 dice there. However, a fair number of these are heavy weapons. So what I'm gonna do is say yeah, I'm gonna say like you're rolling. Oh boy, this is bad. This is real bad. So I think like yeah, I think you're kind of knocked down to like basically at this point like 1d10, because the enemies are so fucking heavily armed. This is an intense engagement. So that being said, if you outnumber the enemies, you're supposed to get bonus dice. So I already dealt with that. Advantage and disadvantage. You're doing a ranged bombardment. I mean, I feel like it doesn't go one way or the other because of the rain. It's like, yeah, you're trying to shoot at them, but you're kind of doing a bombardment. So if you miss them, it's not necessarily the end of the world, but then they're firing back at you at the same range. So it's kind of a wash.
Well, but at the same time, we've been fighting in the rain all day. Right? So
so have they.
They adopted the rain. We were born in it, Kyle.
Now, do you want to spend edge to increase your dice pool? Everybody can spend 1 edge, or you can overboost to get +1 to your dice pool.
Sounds like it might be wise, huh?
Yeah, maybe might want to do that.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do that.
So between our heavy weapons and our extra lance, that just nullifies them having so many heavy weapons. Is that basically okay?
Because they've got a lot of mechs and they're really heavily armed. Like you're piloting light mechs. You have 1 medium and 3 lights. They have what was it, like 4 heavies and 2 mediums and a tank. It's like the other lances that are with you have some heavy mechs, but it's
so it comes out in the wash essentially.
Yeah, it's a tough engagement, right? So how is everybody spending an edge here?
I spent 1.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Everybody good? Edge? Okay, so that's you're going to be that's 6d10. No, sorry, 5d10. Okay, 5d10. So that's what you're rolling. So Lauren, roll 5d10.
Also, I'm a pirate, Kyle.
It applies to a range bombardment.
I need to like hack into their comms or something so I can charlatan these guys.
Yeah, I'll feed you the German. Is it 5d10?
5d10, yep.
5d10, okay. I got that's what I got. I got a 110 and some 9s.
Okay, so you got a success. Okay, awesome. Nice. So what that means is you are going to... Ooh. Interesting. I didn't write for that. So I think... Oh, yeah, okay. So I think you're going to go to... so it's a success. I think you're going to get +2 position. So you're doing pretty well here. You're up to 8.
Is that including the +1 for range bombardment?
Ah, good point. You're at 9. If you just get one more success, you can get like a total victory here. So okay. So this is like all hell has broken loose, right? You're in this no man's land. I should have taken a die away for that, but whatever, it's fine. Damn it!
That was one of those ones that we rolled.
Yeah.
That was that one.
Yeah, you should have been at 0d6 or 0d10, and then get your edge to move up to 4. But that's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. My mistake. Okay, so all hell breaks loose. There are like large lasers, medium lasers, missiles flying in every direction as these basically almost 2 companies of mechs engage each other across this wall. And you see mechs on your side, like in Lambda Lance, go up. You see mechs on the enemy side go up, and I think like that tank is definitely gone, like toast. And because you got that +2, I'm gonna roll, let's say, I will roll a d6 to see how many enemies you take out in this round, because this is just, it's World War I artillery fire on both sides kind of deal. Okay, so 3 enemy mechs are taken out. Yeah, so I think I'll just take these 3 out here. The Axeman, the Maelstrom, and the Enfield. Okay, so so Steger, not dead yet.
I shout his name in anime style and Alpha Strike again.
Yeah. Your heat's max, but you're just like, Steger. Yeah, and I think the other thing is like we just see these like giant plumes of steam as like lasers are firing through the rain, and like all of these mechs are heating up. There's this big clouds of steam like flying out from this factory site, and I think it's kind of, well, I mean, you did get a success, so I'm not gonna. There's no moderate consequence, right? Like it's not like you destroy the factory. You kind of lucked out. So this time around, in the second engagement, like the range bombardment has happened. It's definitely the case that the enemies have been reduced in numbers. Your troops have been reduced in numbers, but not your lance. And the advantage is going to your side. So I think because everybody was in the same range, I'm going to get, once again, I'm going to get the CO to pick what the next maneuver is here.
Okay. So we can't ambush.
You cannot ambush.
Let's attempt to take pincer attack for a spin just so we can see what it looks like.
Yeah, I think that actually makes a lot of sense given the fact that like you're starting to get a numbers advantage. There's these other lances involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take that for a try.
All right, let's go for the pincer attack. Cool. Here we go. And pincer attack. So what we're gonna do is take a look first at what it does. So I think in this case there is actually a special thing we're gonna do to resolve. So now at this point, each player is gonna roll a d6. Okay. I think Brian, I don't see yours. Okay, there we go. So unfortunately, none of you rolled. So this is the move. If you get 2 pair, you get an automatic success. If you roll 4 of a kind, you get an automatic critical success. However, because she chose pincer attack. Oh, you did? You got a pair.
Yeah, there's 2 2s.
Oh, 2 2s. Oh, you're so lucky.
I
was like, oh my god, Lauren.
I know what I'm doing.
Because if you had not gotten any successes on the pincer attack, you would have had very few weapons in optimal range. That would have been or wait, it's short or far. Okay, so it could have been okay. Never mind.
I'm still very avian.
Does 1 pair do anything?
Yeah, it's an automatic
yes,
success.
you got an automatic success. So we'll say.
Oh, I thought you needed 2 pair to get the automatic success.
Oh,
and then you needed.
No, you're actually right. You do. You need to get 2 pairs to get automatic success. That's okay. That's why I thought it. Okay, that's why I thought it was wrong. So 2 pairs of automatic success, 4 of a kind is a crit.
I'm sorry.
What are you doing, rules lawyer?
No, thank you, Tejas. I appreciate that. So now,
I'm a pirate.
You can only choose short or far for your range. So I assume you're all going to go far.
Yeah, far.
Okay. So then we're gonna figure out what you're doing for weapons. I think all of you have got some heat from that last round, right?
Not me.
All right, you don't, but everybody else.
17D.
Each mech warrior gets a cookie on 1 pair. Yeah. So okay, so what are you doing for your weapons? So Brian, you firing 2 again? Nope, 1. Okay, so it's 1d10. Fraser, what are you doing?
I'll do the same maneuver.
Okay, so you get 2. So mark on that extra heat. It's another 3.
So I'll be at 4, right? Well, because of the rain.
Oh right, yeah, that's right, 4. Yeah. And then Lauren, are you going to Alpha Strike this time?
Yes.
Okay.
I was waiting for this moment.
All right. So you're firing 2 weapons, is that right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so that's 5d10. And then Tejas, you're oh, that was the consequence. Okay, I want you to roll a d6 and we'll see what the consequences of you overheating last round was.
Okay. A 5.
Okay, you got a 5. So I think this is probably on your mech. I'm gonna say your
Now, I didn't overheat last time. I'm going to overheat this time because I'm going to blow my
you
threshold.
didn't because of the rain, right?
Right.
Okay, so you are going to overheat now, right?
Yeah, I'm going to like double the threshold. So.
Are you alpha? You're alpha striking again
with everything? Yeah.
And you're out of heat sinks.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is essentially a suicidal maneuver. Okay, I like it. Okay,
I feel like I need to jump jet down on them too.
Yeah. Stiga! Okay, so this is gonna be an extra 4 dice for that. So you're at 9 9d10 plus the heavy weapons, right? So that is 10 from Lauren, and then another 2. So we're looking at yeah, that's from Brian's mech. It's gonna be, or no, it's just 1. Yeah, so that'd be it's 11, and then Fraser, you are firing 1 laser, so that's 12, and then we get an additional 4, so that's 16d10. Okay.
And then my shootist.
Yes. Yeah, I'll go over the tags next.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to mark that down. 16d10. Okay. So next we'll talk about the tags. So in a pincer attack, do you think there is something that would work to your advantage? I assume this is like what? Like you're kind of like fanning out along the wall?
Yeah, I imagine... Sorry.
Would piloting end or command be useful in a pincer attack for maneuvering around the place?
I feel like command is, but not piloting.
Then I'll take command.
All right. So okay, so that's going to give you 17d10. All right, 17d10 total. I feel like even if you fire your jump jets, they're not necessarily going to help you in this situation. So, yeah. So okay, so 17d10 total for you guys. So let's see who's left alive on the enemy side. We've got the Night Sky, the Penetrator, the Hatchet Man, and the tank is toast too.
What about because of Farlow's outcast thing? Like maybe the backstory is playing into it to get at this guy again, right? Trying to kill him.
Well, I mean,
he's trying to kill that Seeger guy real good.
I mean, it's certainly helping you to pick a target, but I don't know. Gee, I mean,
I'm taking risks that you wouldn't normally take.
I feel like this is kind of, it's less the thing where you get an advantage and more a thing where you'd end up spending your edge because like this is what counts. This is the big deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you're at -1d because of your terrain, right? This time I'm going to count it. And now I'll do the enemy weapons. Okay, so the Night Sky is... oh boy, okay. I think this time I should actually think about these exploding D6s. Well, so that's 2... oh my god, there's so many weapons. It's 2... That's 4... 5, 6, 7. No, oh wait, they're not all alive. What am I thinking? It's the Night Sky, the Penetrator, and the Hatchet Man. Okay. Okay, so the Night Sky would take 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11 plus 6 is 17. Say it's probably ends up at about 18. But then the fact is they've spent a lot of heat. So I'm going to cut that down to like, let's say they're mostly packing lasers. So I'm going to give them 12, I think, here. Okay, so you're at 4d10.
I'll spend another edge.
Okay. Everybody spend another edge? Okay. So
I cannot.
You cannot. Okay, so we're at 7d10 total. And I think I've taken everything into account. Yep. Oh, and the rain was a wash one way or the other. You haven't changed your range, so I don't think that changes at all. Oh, but you do outnumber them. So that is an 8. Yeah, so 8d10. Go ahead and roll 8d10 there, Lauren.
Okay, 8d10.
All we need is 2 crits.
Okay, coming right up. So, I got 2 9s. That's so annoying. I got 110.
Okay, you got 110, so that is a full success. Again.
Again.
You sound so excited about that.
Okay, well, hey, it's great. I mean, you did it. You did the thing, right? This is going to be, you go up to position 10, you completely knock them out of the battle, and so you are gonna take a total victory, a glorious breakthrough. So the enemy is wiped out without cost. The enemy line collapses. All objectives are completed. So yes, I think it is. You know, there's been losses in the other lances, but yours somehow manages to survive this fight. It's probably a lot due to the rain working to your advantage, maybe, and that speed advantage you have as well. And of course you had a lot of fire support from a bunch of heavy mechs, which was where they were probably focusing their fire. Unfortunately, I've got to say, I just kind of think in the case of Farlow, you probably hit Steger. You just turned his cockpit to slag with those 4 medium lasers, but your mech is totaled. Like it is gone. Like I would say, like, how much heat were you at the end there? Like a fuck
10.
ton.
Yep, 10.
Yeah, 10 heat. I'm gonna say, like, roll a die of fate to see if there's any salvage at all, or if your mech is just completely gone.
3.
Okay, a 3. So no, your blackjack, there's pretty much nothing left of it. It is just turned to slag. The arms are like fused into position. The barrels of your medium lasers have just like melted. And as for yourself, you will mark a scar. Or I think in this case you're going to be marking 2 scars because you got yourself in a really bad situation. So you're going to write down what 2 negative things resulting from that that maneuver were, right? Like, are you horribly disfigured? You know, like, are you haunted? Like, you can think about what does this look like for your pilot, for Farlow, after he gets his revenge on Steger, but at a great cost.
Well, I think he is burned from like the hands up to the elbows, where like the console just got so hot, like it burned where he was like holding on to the controls and refused to let go.
Yeah.
And then I think the other scar has to be like like a mental scar. I think that maybe Steger's like voice came over comms like as he was like being burnt to slag, and so that is just like forever echoing in his head.
Yeah, some kind of like horrible scream as the
and it just like
goes up.
And he was screaming like, "Who are you?" He doesn't even know like why.
Yeah, right, totally. So okay, so I think you're gonna mark those 2 scars. Did you like eject from your mech before it was just totally cooked?
I don't know. I mean, like, would he have to, or I mean, like, is the thing gonna explode, or
it's just more of a matter of it being so hot that it would probably cook you alive if you stayed in there. Yeah, so maybe you ended up ejecting, and like it's like the cockpit was still hot enough to burn you, but you didn't die from the heat, right?
Well, you know what? I probably like did all that stuff and then ejected so I could like get to him on foot.
Oh, nice. Yeah, like crawling over to the wreck of his mech. Right. Nice. So, Dasha, you were commanding that pincer attack. It was successful. What do you think you did? What was the ingenious thing you did that meant that it was a success?
Ingenious thing that I did. That's presuming a lot right there.
Quick, say something ingenious.
Yeah.
Because you were using your command to get that success, right? So what was it about your sort of tactical acumen that made it so that the coordinated attack was successful?
Yeah, all I can picture is like, I don't know, like the front mission grid where like you had like the percentages of like what's the most vulnerable place to hit and stuff, and like I think that's probably what I did was I had the front mission like over like HUD display in my brain with like all of the weak points of all of their things. So I managed to like economically like maximize the amount of damage we could do on these.
Right. You set up the sickest link attack.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. So yeah, it was like you kind of like flanked them on 2 sides, right? Yeah, well, the fire was pouring in from the other lances, the heavy lances. Nice. Okay, cool. So yeah, so you I think you did succeed in both objectives, your primary and your secondary. You did not damage the factory significantly because you got that success. And yeah, it was a full success. So I don't think you're out of ammo or anything like that either. It's totally an S rank, outcome. Although actually, it's not an S rank; it's an A rank because one of your mechs was totaled in the battle. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dasha. You were so close.
I apologize from the infirmary.
I'm sorry I cost you that S rank. Dasha. Lieutenant, no. It's okay. I think those 4d10 were probably pretty important in getting that success there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
so if you get an exceptional performance, each of you marks 2 XP. And you need 6 XP to get to ace. So I don't think any of you are going to reach that rank, but yep. And aside from that,
it changes me to ace at 5.
Oh,
yeah,
that is a mistake. It should be 6. I just forgot to change the character sheet. So,
damn it, Kyle. First we don't get S rank, now we can't even be aces.
Yeah, right. Maybe if you got S rank, you would have got there just by your emotional euphoria.
I know that's not true, but
Mississippi mislead.
My most inspired design decision was to add an S rank that does nothing. It's so much regret when you don't get it. So I think we see the rain starts to let up. The mechs are slowly cooling off. The enemy forces have been routed, and we see like the dropships swoop in, and the ground crews come charging out. There's like all these trucks that are rolling out, and they're going into the factories and just stealing as much shit as they possibly can and piling them into the dropships. And it's you hear Colonel Vinson, and you hear the major conversing over the comms, being talking about just getting as much of the loot out of the factory as they possibly can. Everybody's hurrying, so there's not any reinforcements that come in. And after maybe a couple hours, the dropships take off. And you are bound once again for space, and you see Mouse sort of struggling with the controls because there's so much weight on the dropship, and she's kind of cursing, but she's an expert. She does a good job, and you get back to the jump ship. You've come away with all that loot, so you are successful pirates. So let's talk about some epilogues for your characters. What do you think happens in your subsequent career of piracy? Yeah, it's fine to leave that blackjack behind. It just means more loot on the dropship. Great, fantastic. Probably steal an extra mech from the enemy factory.
Nobody respects blackjacks anyway.
So epilogues. Let's Brian, what do you think happens to Frank in the aftermath of this operation?
Things probably go fine until Vincent finds out. Or what is it, Vinson?
Vinson, yeah.
Until word gets to him the trouble he's starting to brew up. So yeah, I think a lot depends on how he decides to react to that.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that would be. I don't know. It would depend on how successful you were in getting people on your side, right? Because what's he going to do if there's a prospect of a mutiny? Yeah.
So. And to what extent Frank has managed to make it seem like just a popular uprising, not one centered around him.
Yes.
Because his goal is to be well positioned within it, but yeah, he doesn't want it to be totally clear that it's all his idea.
Yeah,
that would be bad.
If you succeeded at everybody getting more of a cut of the spoils of war, was this a thing where you were secretly pocketing an unfair share for yourself because you are kind of a charlatan.
I mean, I think the eventual goal was to be voted representative of the one of the get himself some kind of better position for sure.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Yeah, so there's a little bit of that, of those union dues going into your pocket. Nice. Good stuff. All right. What about Cold Ruin? You've returned to a life of piracy. You kick some ass. What's next for Cold Ruin?
I feel like they get a reputation for just being like having like a death wish, right? And like going into missions with like being really aggressive and just sort of like downward spiraling without the kind of like ironically the strict military procedures and guidance and stuff like that is the thing that was keeping Cold in check. And without them, it just sort of like goes down the tube, I think.
All right, so that life of piracy returns you to your dissolute ways. I see. All right, well, R.I.P. Cold. We hardly knew ye. So what about Dasha? What do you think happens to her? She get a promotion?
Yeah, I mean, I think like she takes the pirating life very seriously. We probably see this through a shot of her like years on where she like has some cybernetic parts and scars and shit because like she's like seen a lot of stuff in combat, like I don't know, cyber leg, cyber arm, like cyber eye patch, like just looks real rough. Like she probably takes up like smoking because like Cold, that's what she knew of piracy was like cold brain. So yeah, she fully smokes all the time now. But I think she's forever chasing that like elusive S rank. Like that's what motivates her to get up every day. But she just can't get it like years on down the track.
You see like the major just like secretly adjusting the rank under the table, like well, maybe it's not quite an S.
Yeah, like we go back for like debrief and she's like, oh yes, it looks like you've got an S rank. Oh, what's this? A scratch? Oh, this paint's been scratched. Oh nope. A rank for you. And then she's like, God damn it. And then the next day she gets up and it's the same thing over again. And she's still wearing her aviators.
Does she
eye patch with aviators?
Yes, totally. Eye patch with aviators.
Does she end up with Mouse?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nice.
They complement each other very well.
So you always have a dropship pilot when you need one.
Yeah, totally.
And maybe you are still well known for being a generous commanding officer among the crew, going into missions having drunk with the ground crew.
Oh yeah, I mean, if anything, I've learned that you should definitely get drunk before you go on missions because it went really well that one time.
All right, and what about Farlow? You were pretty fucked up from that mission. Where do you think things went for Farlow after that?
I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like immediately after they just assumed it was a casualty, but at some point someone realized that no, he just suicidally destroyed his own mech. And they probably did not take into consideration that, the contributing fire,
yes.
like help. They just said that, like, wait, he didn't have to do that. His mech was destroyed, So he's like been taken off the front lines, stuck in a mechanics bay somewhere. And
yeah. Do you like work your way up to like foreman or something?
Well, I think that he, continues to work for a while and then like ends up jumping to another company once they become like full pirates. And, there's no longer like an official employment. It's not like he's going to get bad recommendations.
Yeah, right.
Another crew that will put him back in a mech. And maybe he has this serial sort of like, goes crazy, and then jumps to a new crew.
Assigns an assumed identity each time.
he was never actually a Mormon. This was just one in a long series of crazy things that he's done.
Stinger is another battle. It's like Stinger.
It would be funny if like you were like the Joker, where you're like, you want to know how I got these birds?
Great. Okay,
I'm gonna make this mech disappear.
Slabs the Alpha Strike button. Big red button, Alpha Strike. Okay, well, cool. And I mean, as far as the company goes, I think it is a case of where like you make a few raids and then bolt for the periphery before a major like naval force can track you down and blow you out of the sky. And you go on a sort of career of piracy out there in on the rim of the inner sphere. Maybe the company manages to conquer a world or two. Who knows? Final sort of feedback for the game. Which of the two combat approaches did you prefer?
I don't know. I like them both. I
think.
On both, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm split pretty evenly on them, actually.
Okay.
And I think in both, if you got it down, then you could be more. And if you had more time, you could put in more, like RP for both of them. So.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the first one's easier for you, though, right?
It's a little hard to say because there were so many heavy mechs on the enemy side the second time, so there's more to track. I feel like honestly, the second approach was probably easier because I had to spend less effort like coordinating everybody's individual dice pools.
Mm.
Whereas, like, so in the first approach, if everybody, like, if all of you were sort of experienced with the game and could, like, figure it out largely on your own, just say, oh, I'm at this many dice, then maybe that would be easier. But I think that given sort of, like, the first time around, this approach was probably easier, even if the dice pool was, like, enormous, right? Yeah, so... Yeah, lots to think about there in terms of how much would a situation like that come up? How much would more experience with the sort of D6 approach help? I feel like one thing that's nice about the way we did it the second time was that there's less sort of like conversions to go through, right? Like it's like, oh, you don't have to be like, you got this many successes, so that contributes this many points to your success pool, and then the success pool contributes to this outcome. You can just be like, oh, okay, you got this roll for the whole group, and the outcomes are like 0, 1, 2, 3. Which one is it? Change your position and move on. So I think on the GM side, this is the second approach is probably the easier one to manage, even though you have a lot of numbers to deal with.
Yeah. How do you envision people using their, like it seemed like it was difficult to get backgrounds and specializations in combat if it wasn't around that. So
yeah, so I think in downtime, especially once I have like circles added to the game, like backgrounds are going to be a lot more relevant. So I think when you choose your background, your specializations, you're pretty much going to be choosing, do I want to choose one that's more focused on combat? Do I want to choose one that's more focused on downtime? I think there's going to be advantages to both, even though you spend a lot of time in combat. I think that you could also end up spending a lot of time in downtime. I feel like I pushed more towards the combat in this time around because I wanted to try the new combat system. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a disadvantage to have specializations that focus on downtime, because that's going to end up sort of being quite powerful narratively down the line. So other questions. How did you feel about downtime this time around? Was it more engaging? Did it still feel sort of like, oh, it's just there, not really the focus of the game?
I'll say my downtime kind of like affected what I did the entire time.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely, yeah, I could see that. Definitely informed the combat.
And I liked the duality of like player knowledge versus like character knowledge, where I was like, nope, I'm not gonna be sensible and get ammo because I don't know that my colleague has just bartered away the ammo that we got. So I kind of that felt like that sort of like witchy like resource management petty drama stuff. Like if we had another session on, like, I don't know, maybe that would have been like a
like, where was my ammo, right? Like,
yeah. Although I would feel really bad about chewing out the poor guy who like literally sacrificed himself. Like, no, yo, man, like, where was my ammo? So
yeah, I'd like to see more of that in the if we kept playing, like how those decisions about sort of like what you allocate your energy and attention to in downtime ends up feeding into the combat, then that ends up feeding back into the story, just like in Night Witches.
Well, and I mean, like in that regard, Stiger wouldn't have been here if this was a longer running game, right? I mean,
yeah.
So it wouldn't, like, you know, Dasha would have had an opportunity to confront him, and meanwhile he would have been like, so I heard you're related to this guy. You know, I mean, like, that stuff would have all had an opportunity to come out if it wasn't just, you know, today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that's probably a thing I need to add to the game for downtime is something about getting like two characters together in a scene in downtime, right? Like either helping in downtime somehow, if you like collaborate, or having like a sort of some kind of personal scene. So I think I may make a suggestion like, oh, if you need to get like care, you can get it from a PC, and if you want to help out another PC, you can do that as well. If you want to help another PC in downtime, it's probably like you have to spend your own downtime activity. You can spend one downtime activity to help another PC.
I mean, on the other hand, that would have just been free play, right? Like, kind of outside of your two downtime actions, but still before.
Oh yeah, it's completely possible to do that. I was just thinking, like, you got a lot of downtime scenes that were discrete from each other. So I think it would be fun in downtime if we had the opportunity, or at least some kind of suggestion that you do things together as well. Okay. And I don't know, I guess we'll do stars and wishes. So stars, do you, Brian, do you have any stars for this session or for the game?
Oh, I'm always bad at thinking of specific things. I mean, I'll think of them tomorrow. Oh, I should have said this.
We can come back to you.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'll come back. I guess there were
circle around, and
I guess there were what, 3 different versions basically, and yeah, I don't know. They all kind of worked. I was having a good time the whole time. I guess that's not that helpful, but
well, it's at least encouraging, right? That's help. Okay. Fraser, do you have any stars for this session, or the other players, or the game?
Yeah, this session, I think maybe because of the combat revamp, it felt a lot more like Final Fantasy Tactics. I haven't played Front Mission or anything, but it felt more like that. I thought the maneuvers were pretty cool and worked well. The only thing I was hoping for more would be like, as a wish, would be like putting more RP within that, but
yes,
we just didn't have the time for that. So
right. Yeah, like I think we kind of suffered a little bit on the RP because there were so few consequences suffered by the team.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe there still needs to be some like clear stage where it can be like, this is the thing I'm doing and this is what it looks like. If I could get that into the combat, I think that would make it even better.
Yeah, if you could get somebody to describe what they're contributing along and then say like what their die total is or something, that would be good. Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was like a lot more satisfying, the combat, and I really liked all the different maneuvers and the way that it bumps you up and down and stuff like that. It seems very like, yeah, like what it's supposed to be with FF Tactics, battle tech on a grid and that kind of stuff, right? So yeah. I think all your hard work over the week was good.
Thanks. I'm glad to hear it wasn't a disaster.
Yeah, it worked well, I thought.
Cool. Well, all credits to the range and cover section from Burning Wheel, because that was the major inspiration there. It's not an exact copy. There's a lot of things that are different, but I went back and read that again. I was like, oh, hey, this is pretty similar. So yeah. All right. Lauren, what are your stars?
I always have too many. I think I'll second all of the stars that have come prior. As it was way easier being CO in this round of combat because I felt I had more player knowledge about like what was happening and like what things were like and stuff to say like, oh, this strategy kind of makes sense. Whereas before I was like, I don't know. So I felt very supported in that capacity. That was super fun. And oh yeah, no, legit. One of my stars was like watching you count up to 17 dice. Like that was, and then you've got one, and I was like, that like I am here for this.
It's like, oh, we're doing so great. And then, one die.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then all the side banter in the chat bar after you think of the stuff that Jukes, that was hilarious, and yeah, made the session extra delightful. And what else? Crap, I had some more, but it's gone. I didn't mind. It's probably not important. But yeah, I mean, you guys are like lovely to play with, and I had a lot of fun playing this like military game, and it was just a little bit of like crunch for me, and I liked being this annoying character. That was great. Getting drunk, where aviators. I was here for all that. And then yeah, I think my only wish, I think I second Fraser's wish, like having more like cinematic combat or opportunities to describe what stuff looks like or things like that. I think that would be fun, and I think it would help facilitate like the rollover of combat drama into sort of downtime drama, where you can sort of lean on people's reputations for how they acted in combat into downtime. So like, yeah, if you get a mixed result on a tie or something, you can we need to see that kind of thing roll over into like your personal character reputation, or like if stuff went wrong, and it got out that my character was drunk for like half of the mission, like that would have really hurt my ref as well. Yeah, so like just seeing more drama crossover between the two, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I feel like we started to get that a little bit, but it wasn't quite there yet. So I will see what I can do to try to work that in. I think like it's kind of like 75% of the way there is sort of how I feel about where we're at right now.
But I'm remiss to say you should change the combat more because it's already gone through such an overhaul.
Well, I don't think I'm going to make any radical changes to the system. It might be like add a step here, take a step away there. It's not going to be like I'm just going to rewrite the whole game, which is what I did this week. So, yeah. All right. And Tejas, any stars?
1 star, I think, was for Brian's suggestion to change that from describe 1 contribution to describe 1 sacrifice. I feel like it's like a 1-word change that would super meaningfully impact that little chunk of game.
Yes.
So I thought that was super cool, and I would have never had the insight to think of it. Let's see. And then I think I liked the combat more this time with the hit points removed and the maneuvers. I think just that there kind of set the stage a little bit more to feel less like, okay, we shoot our fire down range, we take their fire up range, and then the turn is done. It felt more like something was happening other than just dice being rolled.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I think if we can just, like, sort of picture those sacrifices, assuming you don't just roll full success on the encounter.
Right.
but if you came into it in a bad position, and had more sort of like difficulties, because I mean, if you had rolled bad on that encounter roll, could have been bad times. I
would say as a wish, I don't really know how I would implement it, but as amusing as it was to see like this huge dice pool gets crushed down to nothing, it also seems like a lot of work for naught then, like I don't know if generally speaking things are going to kind of come out in the wash that way, like any given like scenario.
I think that would I'll try to do like sort of maybe a little bit more testing there. I can do that solo to see what...
Maybe it could be like less granular, like you don't need to count weaponry. Maybe you just count how many mechs are alpha striking versus not.
Right.
Or how many mechs have heavy weapons versus don't. And then you won't have to count like each individual thing.
I mean, I still... so I feel like there's a couple things there. So like, if you just count alpha striking, how much heat do you assign, right? I think like that's still an important decision. Like, how much heat you want to spend feels like it's still dramatically like satisfying to be like, oh, am I going to push it, or am I gonna go way over? Am I gonna be under? Like, am I gonna play conservatively? Like, that still feels like an interesting decision to me.
Totally.
And the other thing is, like, the number of weapons you have is really dependent on the weight class of your mech. So if it was just, are you firing, are you alpha striking, then I would kind of wonder if that sort of weight class thing would become irrelevant. So that's...
Or maybe your weight class is like what determines how many points you get when you alpha strike.
Yeah, totally could be. Yeah, so it'd be cutting the equipment side of the game out even more, but that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. It could maybe be simplified more in that sense, and try to make it a little bit less granular. Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I was just saying that you know, it seemed like a lot of work to go through. Like, well, he's got this, and he's got this, and he's got this, and he's got this, and you got this, and you got this, and okay, we're back to one. You know. Actually, to go in completely the opposite direction of that, you know, like the autocannons on Dasha's Valkyrie, or not Valkyrie, Shadowhawk, I think, are a little beefier than the ones on the Jenner, but I don't know that ever mattered.
Oh, you know? So the thing with the autocannon is it mattered in the sense that it has the ammo tag, and it was never able to be used because she was dramatically out of ammo. Right? In the first engagement, we ran out of ammo, and then she wasn't able to get resupply. And so then it meant that when she alpha strikes, she could only fire 2 weapons instead of 3. Yeah, so that did have some significance there.
Maybe that's just me being unfamiliar with, like, mechanics, like not having mastery then.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of mechanics, but like there is like the ammo. Is it a heavy weapon? Is it a super heavy weapon?
Right.
The heat stuff, and there's a few other little tags in there too, but not stuff that came up in the weapon loadouts we had. So
yeah.
I'll think about that some more if I can simplify it even more, because that would be nice if it was like, oh, you were calculating maybe like under 12 dice would be nice, right? Like once you start getting up into like towards 20 dice, that's intense. So yeah, but yeah, I'll have to have another think what I'm gonna do before I put this in the public beta, because it's still, I feel like there's still a lot of sort of challenging design decisions to think about, but at least it's kind of in the right space, I think. Like it's getting there. Yeah. So thanks to everybody for all of your feedback, for playing the game. It definitely, I think, has improved over the series of playtests, and that is a lot of that is thanks to you. So yeah, thank you very much. And stars for I think, boy, just, I mean, that's my major thing, right? Is just, you know, helping me out. That's really what I want to give stars for. So yeah, thanks a lot. And I mean, this game cannot really, like, it can't really be played without 4 players. So I'm super glad that we had a full roster of players. Because that was one of the major changes I made, was like, in the original design of this game, it didn't really matter that much, but now it's pretty important that you have 4 PCs. So you could play with 3, but then one person might have to control 2 PCs, which could be quite challenging. So I'm glad we got those 4 players and we're able to see what it looks like when it's played the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, thanks for showing up. Thanks for contributing.
No problem. Yeah,
super fun.
Yeah. I actually think that, like, all that crazy calculation stuff is almost what endeared it to me for thinking of it as a FF tactical type game, right? When you're like, there's like all these billions of factors being into it. If you could streamline it with like the battle map or something where it's not such heavy cognitive load on the GM,
yeah,
I think it'd be good. But I don't know. I kind of like the how intense it is.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, I'm gonna read over those range and cover rules again to see if there's something I can take from there in terms of like how I might simplify. But like, I do like this sort of cognitive investment in each stage of the encounter. Like, I feel like 2 is a good number of stages, and I do like sort of talking through all of these different considerations. So
I didn't give it a star, but I should have. I love that combat is 2 rounds. And then there's like a definitive, you won by how much, you lost a little bit, you lost a lot. That is really cool.
Yeah, thanks. That was a very clear decision I made. Was like, yeah, we're not doing any more than 2 rounds of combat because like each of these rounds is a lot. So yeah, we're just gonna get in, see what happens. There's like the opportunity for a back and forth, and then that's it. Yeah. So yeah, I think that turned out well. So thanks. All right. Well, I'm going to end the broadcast here. And this is the last session. So if anybody watched this, I hope you enjoyed watching. And there will be more in the future. So bye.